news and podcasted on highlandradio.com.
The DL debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love in Sarah's kitchen.
Have yourself a good Monday morning. Greg's going to be so pleased with me. I'm bang on time today.
You're early.
Everybody's early. Donna Marie came in early. She woke up at 10 to 5. Shannon was in early. Anne was in early. You're late as usual, but that's all right.
I was in early as well.
Were you?
Yeah.
It's Monday. It's good time to get...
Sure, it's all the same, isn't it?
No, but it's hard to beat the wee extra 10 minutes when you have it, on your side.
You mean to get in earlier?
No, but it's nice that the luxury of 10 minutes extra. Just
in bed?
No, but just to flaff about.
Who has 10 minutes extra to fluff about?
No, but I came in here earlier than I normally did, but it was just...
You must have wet the bed, did you?
No, nearly. No, but Donna Marie was in early, and just the joy of having the luxury, you're not against the wire.
What's wrong with you all?
I know, we're
I had
wound
to
up.
drag myself out of bed this morning.
That's all right.
Yeah, all right, fair play to you. Listen, I'm delighted for you. You know, well, I feel
you
fresh.
You were busy
now.
canoeing and kayaking and in the water having fun at the weekend.
I was.
I seen the big fish you caught. That was big.
She was a brute, wasn't she?
Oh, there's some eating in that now.
Well,
if you closed your eyes, you would have it to eat.
It wouldn't fill the gap in your teeth.
No. Did you put them back in?
Of course I did.
Did I?
Of course.
What was the wee mackerel, was it?
Haven't a clue what it was.
Yeah. It was a fish.
I didn't even know it was there.
Was it a fish?
It was. Well, I don't know what it was.
It's not small, you'd hardly see.
Eel?
Tadpole, maybe. I don't know.
Listen, sometimes you have to take the hand out of yourself. By the way, for listeners, it was just posted on social media. I caught a wee fish because, for some reason, I am a magnet for people taking the hand.
At you?
Yeah.
Why is that, do you think?
I don't know what it is.
I would never
maybe
do that.
Maybe people know I've got a sense of humour. I don't mind.
Yeah, maybe you can take
fun.
it. You see?
Of course, yes. It's great fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, thanks for that. I'm glad you noticed my fishy.
I did, yeah.
Well, we might as well stay on time now that we're at it.
Keep it going, Daddy.
All right, Lee.
See you tomorrow, boy.
Look, are you getting your swoon trunks out, your sunglasses? It's going to get warmer. We might be getting a summer.
Oh, tell me now. Break the news to me. Are we getting?
It's just going to get warmer. They don't know, but there's high pressure building off our west, heading towards the weekend.
This weekend
as
coming?
the week progresses,
right?
It's going to improve.
Paintbrushes out, silage cut, slurry spread.
That's
all
you
of
just
that.
watching the neighbours.
Yeah, okay,
good man. All right, excuse me. 9 o'clock news update time, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A detective chief inspector who was shot in Omagh last year was among those who were recognised in the King's Birthday honours over the weekend. DCI John Caldwell suffered life-changing injuries in the attack that happened in front of his son at a sports complex. The Belfast Telegraph reports that Caldwell has been awarded the King's Police Medal. Commenting, PSNI Chief Constable John Butcher says officers continue to face serious threats, and the award is not only in recognition of DCI Caldwell's service, but also in the bravery of his family. Appointments to the key EU institutions will be discussed today at a European Council meeting. Taoiseach Simon Harris will be in Brussels to talk informally about the outcome of the European elections. He says as of now there's no names on the table and there's a process that needs to be gone through. The Taoiseach wouldn't be drawn on Ursula von der Leyen's chances of securing another 5-year term as the European Commission President.
I'm obviously a member of the EPP. Ursula von der Leyen is our lead candidate. The EPP did win more seats in the European Parliament elections. But I do want to, out of courtesy to the process I'm about to go through, allow that process unfold. I don't expect any decisions to be made at the meeting.
Those in Northern Ireland are being urged to ensure they're registered to vote ahead of the UK's general election. The deadline closes tomorrow, with polling taking place on Thursday the 4th of July. They can register online at gov.uk or by visiting the voter registration kiosks at the reception of the council's offices at Strand Road in Derry, Derry Road in Strabane and at the Derg Valley Leisure Centre. We'll know the results of the latest ballot by Aer Lingus pilots later today. They've been voting in a paper ballot over the weekend after a digital one conducted last week was questioned by the airline. Members of the Irish Airline Pilots Association are looking for pay rises of over 20%, which Aer Lingus says it won't allow. Last week's strike vote was passed by 97.7% margin. Travel writer Owen Corey expects a similar number today.
IALPA are very, very disciplined. They tend to do what the executive instructs them. It'll be in the 90%. That's what we saw in the e-vote. The real thing here is we're not even in the ring yet on this dispute. We're just going through the weigh-in where both sides are sizing each other up and seeing what is going to happen next when we get back into talks.
Looking to weather, a little cloudy this morning with some patchy drizzle. It will become drier by the afternoon, but it will remain rather overcast with limited sunny spells. Highest temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
Instagram has family tools that help your family have a safer, healthier experience on the app. When teenagers set up their Instagram profile, default private accounts ensure that what they post stays private to them and their followers. Selecting a daily time limit helps your teenager keep healthy habits on the app. And by setting up supervision together, you gain more insight into who they're following. Learn more about these and other family tools at instagram.com/family tools.
And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 Til Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning to you. We're into another week of the 9 Til Noon Show. Today, 4 minutes past 9, the 17th of June. How are you all keeping? Hope you had a lovely weekend. Hope it went well for you. Of course, it was Father's Day. Belated Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope you were spoilt rotten. Big hello to the mums, doubling up. And, of course, a tough day for lots of people who've lost their fathers as well. I mean, we love to see other people happy, of course, but it does remind you of what you once had as well. So it's a mixed bag of emotions, but hopefully the overwhelming emotion yesterday was a positive one. And as I say, there's loads of socks and all that kind of stuff. What do fathers get for Father's Day now? Anyway, is it still socks? I don't be getting socks. No, I have enough socks. But anyway, 086 60 25,000. The lines are open. We've loads to talk about in the show today. It's a really interesting programme. Caroline been working very hard over the weekend, as always. But we want to hear what you want to talk about as well. Let us know. You can call the team on 07491 25,000. And if email is your thing, it's comments at highlandradio.com. And if you want to send your voice notes into us as well, maybe that's a better way for you to communicate. 086 60 25,000 on WhatsApp. It couldn't be any simpler. And also we're broadcasting live, of course, across YouTube, on your smart TV and your Fire Stick, and Facebook. Just search Highland Radio. You should see us there. The papers this morning, the Derry People Donegal News is leading with some political speculation. Efforts to bring Donegal TD Joe McHugh back into Fine Gael ranks have intensified under the new leadership of Taoiseach Simon Harris, who's made direct appeals both before and after his recent ascension to the role. Deputy McHugh, a former minister and government chief whip, lost the Fine Gael party whip over his stance on the defective concrete crisis, but is still being actively courted to return to the party's fold. He took a principled stand during the defective concrete crisis, siding with affected homeowners, demanding more substantial government support. His decision to vote against the party has led to his losing the Fine Gael whip, marking a significant moment in his political career. However, the political landscape is shifting once again. Harris, who succeeded Leo Varadkar as Taoiseach, has made it clear that he values McHugh's experience and commitment to his constituents. In a private conversation, Harris has pushed the importance of unity within Fine Gael, particularly as the party navigates complex challenges ahead of the general election. Obviously, they want me in the fold for the local elections, explained Deputy McHugh. And on he goes, there's an interview in there. I don't see what would be in it for Joe McHugh to return to. I mean, he's drawn a red line, and that red line is still there, so I don't see a pathway back for him, especially considering at this stage, and I'm sure he's working very hard, but emotionally you must be freewheeling to the next general election if you've said that you aren't standing again. The Derry News this morning, a Derry couple have issued an emotional plea for parents to be aware of the dangers of Group B strep. Paul Smith and his partner Alicia suffered a torturous ordeal with their 3-month daughter as they almost lost. I'll try reading that again. Paul Smith and his daughter Alicia suffered a torturous ordeal with their 3-month daughter as they almost lost a couple of weeks ago. Oh, it's a slight typo there. Strep bacteria is very common in both men and women and is usually harmless, but can become a problem in pregnant women, those who are older or already ill, and young babies. On to the nationals now, starting with the Irish Independent. And medical card holders in need of dental treatment are being left in the lurch more and more, as there are 252 fewer dentists in the scheme compared with last year, leaving just over 800 to service the whole country. And I'm not sure how many there are in this county to service the whole county, but I do know of stories of people travelling great distances to be able to avail of dental treatment using a medical card. But reading on, new figures show the extent of the shortage of dentists available to patients with a medical card, with Galway, Mayo, Roscommon, Cork City, North Dublin, Cavan and Monaghan among the counties and areas facing the biggest fall in the number of scheme practitioners over the past 12 months. So really the question from a local perspective, how difficult is it for you with a medical card to get dental treatment? I mean, speaking to dentists, they have a certain window of opportunity to make money. The money they get from the medical card is far short of what they can get from private patients. They are businesses at the end of the day, aren't they? And I think until that situation is addressed, that balance is balanced, if you know what I mean, that difference is balanced. This is a problem that's going to keep going on and on and on. In May last year, patients with a medical card were already highlighting difficulties getting a dentist, with 1,060 in the scheme at the time, but numbers are now down to 808. Nearly every county has seen a fall-off in dentists willing to take medical card patients, and an ongoing row over fees and the limited number of treatments dentists can offer. Another element of that is that the government scheme, some dentists would tell you that really is not about the maintenance of teeth. It's effectively to pull a tooth, when someone can't get it seen to or looked after properly using the medical card. Eventually they just go in, and if they can get an appointment, it's pulled on the medical card. But if you are affected by that story, let us know on the numbers I mentioned a little earlier on. The Irish Times today. President Michael D. Higgins has added his voice to growing concerns around the nature of far-right protests in the Republic, singling out those who target public libraries and their staff in recent years. His remarks, in which he labelled such protesters as vigilantes, followed another protest by a masked anti-migrant group outside the home of Taoiseach Simon Harris on Friday. Now, I watched some of the footage of that, and especially given our history, the visuals of it were very familiar to things that we've seen in the past. I'm all for protest, and I'm all for taking a stand on things that you might feel important, but it's clearly intimidating to land up at someone's house dressed as they were. And also the guards don't seem to be really doing anything about it. They said their piece, and then the guards asked them to move, and then they moved. Well, maybe you see that as legitimate protest, but going at someone's house heading into the weekend, dressed in masks that you probably marched on the streets to not have to wear during COVID, is a bit strange. In an address at the annual Bloomsday Garden Party at Aris and Uachtaráin yesterday, Mr Higgins said the protection of public libraries and their staff from attacks by the far right should be regarded as a priority for everyone in a civilised society, and not just a job for An Garda Síochána. But there is not a huge amount of people that are targeting the libraries, but they are into a new cycle now, at least a couple of the main faces in it, and they're switching tact on to more of a pro-life, anti-abortion platform. So maybe they've moved on naturally from the libraries. The Irish Daily Mail, Fianna Fáil is privately moving to ditch the Greens in favour of an arrangement with Labour following the local and European elections. At last week's parliamentary party meeting, TDs and senators were told to encourage councillors to, wherever possible, to do a deal with Labour when it comes to council positions. One source said it was put very subtly to Micheál Martin. Senior politicians are reluctant to be seen to tell councillors what to do, but the message was clear from Micheál: build relationships with Labour. And the truth is, and we were discussing this during the course of a local election coverage, I mean, the bottom line is no matter how desperate you are, I think any party is going to look for alternatives to the Greens. There was a Green wave where the Greens seen councillors elected, where the Green Party had MEPs, TDs and what have you. Obviously, to some extent, much of that now has, that tide has regressed. And I just don't think that, and this is no offence to the Greens, that they will be used to form a government in the near future, because they are seen as somewhat toxic. And some of the big issues of today, the Green fingerprints are all over it. Now, you stick by your mates, don't you? But the Greens being thrown under the electric bus there, no doubt about it. The Irish Daily Star today, the horse slaughterhouse at the centre of an investigation into allegations of animal abuse and cruelty has been fully suspended. The Department of Agriculture confirmed the country's only licensed equine abattoir, operated by Shannonside Foods in County Kildare, was probed by the RTE Investigates programme Horses Making a Killing, which led to footage being captured of horses being allegedly beaten and mistreated. Illegal activities to launder the identities of horses and compromise the integrity of the human food chain were also uncovered at a site connected to the abattoir for horses. Fair play to RTE and the RTE Investigates team for exposing this, but you would wonder about the oversight and inspections and the inspection regime, weren't you? I mean, we're not talking about there's 50 and this one seemingly slipped through the net. It's the only place. And as I say, where's the oversight? Where up until now? Like, how many instances of alleged cruelty have there been before RTE decided to stick the cameras in there? If you watch that, we're going to be talking about that a little later on, and we want you to have your say, of course, using the usual lines of communication. Ukraine would hold peace talks within hours if Russian troops pull out, President Volodymyr Zelensky has said. But he warned world leaders at a summit for Ukraine in Switzerland that Vladimir Putin will not end the invasion and must be stopped in any way we can, inverted commas. More than 80 countries have signed the document blaming Moscow for the war, backing Ukraine's right to defend its borders. However, India, South Africa and Saudi Arabia did not sign. China weren't there. And Russia weren't invited. So China backed Russia. China didn't go because the Russians weren't invited. Just ahead of that, Vladimir Putin, he said that there are conditions for peace, and the areas that the Russians control or partly control in the east of Ukraine, he says the Ukrainians, if they back out of there can be an immediate ceasefire. Ukraine and the West, effectively, through Ukraine, are saying that no, Russia has to pull completely out of Ukraine, and then we can talk about peace. The bottom line is though, no one's looking for a solution for this. I'm not a diplomat. But there has to be a way whereby that, surely, and I'm saying this in the context of the amount of people, and particularly young people, that are dying on both sides, could they not come up with a peace process along the lines of those areas, those contested areas that they're left in abeyance for time being, and some sort of a referendum in 5 or 10 years so the people themselves could determine whether they want to be part of Russia or Ukraine. Something like that's going to happen, because Russia ain't backing out and the West ain't backing down to Russia, and all the while there's this massive loss of life. They need to call a ceasefire and let the people in time determine what to do with that. I don't know, but I would like to see someone try and come up with a plan rather than it just going on and on and on. And all the while, the chess pieces are being moved around the world. Russia is moving some of its submarines closer to the United States. The United States are moving some of its nuclear submarines elsewhere. And, there comes a tipping point, and I wonder how far away we are from it. Finally, in the Mirror, children are experimenting with everything that can be sniffed, snorted or swallowed. Experienced drug counsellor Mary Byrne of MB Now International said the amount of drug abused by kids and teenagers is probably the worst she's ever seen in her 30 years of working. Ms. Byrne said 20 years ago, people were shocked when I talked about children as young as 12 years old taking cannabis at the school gates. Now, most young people see cannabis as hash or nothing. So in other words, they see it as no biggie. Marie, based in Navan, said many young teenagers are using vaping to heat up cannabis. Cannabis solvents and alcohol are still the gateway drugs, but I've dealt with teenagers as young as 14 who are now cocaine addicts. And I suppose if you're a young teen and you are vaping, and you're addicted to that nicotine, and then you see lots of people advocating for the legality of cannabis, or people saying it's really safe and all that kind of stuff, is it a great leap then to sort of start vaping cannabis? Probably not, unfortunately. Okay, that was a run through the newspapers on this Monday morning.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra and Diner, Mountaintop Letterkenny, winner of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
New this week in Home Store and More. All camping is all half price. That's right, all tents, camping tables and chairs, sleeping bags and other camping accessories all at half price. But better hurry, because when all this half price camping is gone, it's gone. Also, all toilet seats are still all half price. But when all the half price toilet seats are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
For over 125 years, Donegal Creamery's milk has been brought to you daily from our dairy at Crossroads, Killigordon, the longest established creamery in the region. By choosing Donegal Creamery's milk, you're supporting local jobs, local families, and over 200 dairy farming families across Donegal in doing what they do best. Producing delicious fresh milk daily. Donegal Creamery's milk. Donegal's milk since 1899.
Check out the new summer ranges now in stock at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Top casual brands include Mishmash, French Connection, Tommy Bow and Penguin. If you're going to a big event, great formal wear names include Rimazumo, Sixth Sense and White Label, with special packages available for wedding parties. Watson Menswear open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
Donegal County Council, in association with Bryson Recycling, are holding a half-price bulky goods event at Stranorlar, Lahey and Dunlow Recycling Centres from the 10th of June until the 22nd of June during site opening times. For more information and opening times, visit donegalcoco.ie or call the council on 074 9153 900.
Okay, so let's go back to that RT Investigates show last week. The Department of Agriculture, as I mentioned, has confirmed that it's fully suspended the operation of the Shannonside Foods plant in County Kildare. Serious animal welfare abuses and cruelty have been uncovered in the treatment of horses being sent for slaughter at Ireland's only licensed equine abattoir. And I think the fact that it's Ireland's only one is quite a significant element to this story and this type of activity going on there. Aideen Earl of the Irish Council Against Blood Sports joins us. Good morning, Aideen.
Good morning, Greg.
Sorry, go ahead, Aideen, yes?
No, I'd like to commend the RT Investigates team for uncovering this and broadcasting a great programme which showed the dreadful secrets going on there inside racing. They did the same with the greyhounds running for their lives 5 years ago, and the greyhound and horse racing industry are quite alike in that, animals are being exploited, overbred, and then discarded when no longer useful or fit for purpose or surplus to requirements. It's a callous industry. Both of these industries are quite callous.
And there's a lot going on here because obviously there is the cruelty element to this, but also there is the potential impact on the integrity of the human food chain. But for those who did not see the programme, Aideen, what was uncovered here? What was going on?
Oh, it was a very hard watch, Greg. I mean, it was difficult to watch it. I mean, what we saw in that slaughterhouse was, in the film footage, was the beating of horses, terrified horses, by guys with long plastic piping. And then one guy prodding a horse with a pitchfork, a horse that was dying. He was prodding it to get up. And another horse was kicked as it lay dying. And there were other horses on that premises, outside in fields, which were lame horses in really bad condition. And I can't understand how the Department of Agriculture could let that kind of thing go on. I mean, clearly horses were there in bad conditions anyway. I mean, they may not have seen what was going on inside that particular shed, but they must have seen the state of the other horses in the premises. it was just a nightmare scenario, a complete hellhole, and it has now been closed down. And thank God for that, and I hope it never opens again. Never.
Before we talk about sort of the oversight and the gaps that clearly must have been there, these people that work there obviously don't see these horses as animals or anything, just see them as almost like inanimate objects in how they treat them. There's no respect at all. Listen, I mean, there's an awful lot we could talk about how we raise animals and then we kill them and then we eat them or whatever, right? That's maybe a conversation for another day. But farmers, for the most part, there is a respect there and an understanding. In this situation, they were bags of spuds or nothing. That's how they must have been viewed.
Nothing, and that's what they are to the owners and trainers as well, when they're no longer winning on the track, or if they're surplus to requirements and don't make the grade. That's where they end up. I mean, they're just discarded like rubbish. And 8,000 foals are born annually every year, around that, and a lot of them don't make the grade. What happens to them? They're just discarded as well. And we saw on the film too that lots of horses are sent abroad, as you mentioned, for the meat trade, which is just appalling. I mean, it's a dreadful situation.
And of course, the Department of Agriculture's hands are all over this as well, in that, I mean, the horse racing industry is very heavily subsidised. I think the last figures I saw were 23, 25 million. That money effectively goes into prize money, which is then won by multi-millionaires who make a killing off the back of this industry. And then then we see the commodity, which it's all they must see at, these animals, how they're treated. So the amount of money being made off the back of these horses, literally, but also the cruelty of these horses is shocking, really.
Yeah, and it's 76 million they got this year, the horse racing industry. I mean, that's an absolute travesty that they're pouring money into that abusive industry that sees thousands of innocent horses ending up in slaughterhouses to be treated like that. And can I just say, I cannot believe that the department would license an individual who we discovered in the programme had convictions for animal cruelty. It's incredible that the department allowed that person to run that slaughterhouse. The license, once that person was convicted of animal cruelty, the license should have been taken off him. It's outrageous. It just shows the disrespect they have for animals.
The thing about it as well, too, which jumps out at me, is that if we had, say, 50 of these, and you have a bad egg, and in the inspection and oversight process it was missed, that would be bad enough. But there's literally one show in town, and it is this. It does make you wonder, because as you say, right, maybe you wouldn't witness the beatings or the pitchfork instances on any given day, but the broader way the operation is run, what happens to horses, how a horse is declared dead here and exported alive, that's the type of stuff even soft touch regulation should pick up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible the sort of skullduggery that was going on, and chips being inserted, extra chips. I mean, it's unbelievable that the department wasn't keeping control over that and monitoring that closely. And it's just unbelievable. And then handing out 76 million to an industry that is doing that kind of, that sort of thing is going on in.
It's a funny old industry, horse racing. If you just hold that thought. No, you go ahead and just say what you just want to say, and then I'll come back to you.
I want to talk about horse racing itself and what goes on. I mean, it's incredible that jockeys are allowed to beat horses with whips in this day and age. Beating an animal is a crime. And yet these guys are able to do it with impunity. Why? I don't understand. I did report whipping of horses to the Gardaí on occasions, and you just don't get you get no response. I mean, it is a crime. It is an offence. Why can they do it, but you couldn't do that to a dog or any other animal? You couldn't go around with a whip and start whipping it on the side.
I presume you're on about to G on the horse as he approached the finishing line. That's the whipping you're talking of.
I don't. Yeah, but it's it's sometimes you watch them and it's really vigorous and savage what they're doing. And a blind eye is turned by everybody to that.
Yeah, but we kind of all do turn a blind eye to it, Dean, because really, look at horse racing. What is horse racing? Horse racing is, for the most part, a lot of the times, race meetings that are very poorly attended. Obviously you have your big festivals where lots of people come out. Not as many Irish travelled over to Aintree this year as they have in the past. And really what it is supporting is gambling. So you've got people.
That's at the heart of
it. That is really what's at the heart of it. So in terms of a spectacle sport, it's obviously not all that because, as I say, there are key figures there's key dates in the diary where huge crowds turns up. For the most part, the 7:30 in Sligo. There could be one man and his dog watching that, and it's heavily subsidised by the taxpayer here. And really, what comes from it is an awful lot of heartbreak through gambling. They need to have a dog or horse race going 24 hours a day, 24 hours
Absolutely.
a day. And there's probably some, and you know what, in a way it might help some places not too far from here, right? But it doesn't matter if anyone attends sometimes. They just have to have a horse or a dog race going live 24 hours a day. And it's not because people are standing watching them. It's because people need something to bet on.
Absolutely. They have a symbiotic relationship, horse racing and gambling. That's what it is. We can't have one without the other. And the same for greyhound racing. I mean, in fact, mentioning greyhound racing, all this was aired about greyhound racing by the same RTE Investigates team in 2019. And it was all about overbreeding, discarding dogs when they're no longer fit to run on the track. The same thing. We saw a greyhound being shot in the head and then dumped into a rubbish bin.
But if I put it to you that it generates a lot of income, tourism, employment, supports local businesses, local communities, I presume that argument would fall on deaf ears.
Well, it would in my case because, I mean, what price animal cruelty? It doesn't. It's not justified at all in any way, shape, or form. I mean, there are other things people can be doing, other sports. I mean, there's football, there's all sorts of other sports. I mean, this doesn't. The exploitation of animals is unacceptable in this day and age. But unfortunately, Ireland has a very bad record in animal cruelty. We still have hare coursing here and fox hunting. The government continues to turn a blind eye and allow it, even though the vast majority of people want it banned.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the first thing they should do is take the 76 million off them, or take these subsidies. Stop subsidising cruelty, because that's what they're doing.
Okay, Adine, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Adine Uriel of the Irish Council Against Blood Sports. I'm very interested in listening to the views of you out there, the counterpoints of view. I'm not a massive horse racing fan. I'm not a massive... in fact, I used to watch the Grand National back in the day with my dad and that, but to be honest with you, I don't really enjoy watching it now. I don't see the point of it, but I respect other people's points of view as well. So maybe, that wasn't the most robust of interviews to offer the other side of it with Adine. It's just I don't really have the arguments because I don't see a great deal of point in it. But maybe you out there do. So let me know. 086 60 25,000. Of course, there is the show and what it showed, but also is the wider conversation about horse and greyhound racing. Do you see the benefits in it? What are the benefits of it? And so on and so forth. As a horse owner, I watched RTE, the RTE show. It was one of the most disturbing investigations by our fantastic RTE journalists. Well done to all. Hope the government and powers to be will put a stop to this cruelty. I'm still in shock that came in from Ray. RTE Investigates goes deep inside the equine industry to show what happens to horses after they leave the spotlight, indeed. We need to take those people who were involved in this disgusting alleged abuse of horses and make them walk down the street and people can flog them with rubber rods. I understand where you're coming from. An eye for an eye leaves the world blind, but I take your point. Truly horrific. What is the government and Charlie McConnell doing about it? Well, he shut the place down and investigations have been launched and reassured us that in the last 3 weeks there's no horse meat that's entered the human food chain. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to talk about a really serious dog attack that took place across the Greenway in Ashone. A man particularly savagely assaulted by a dog. We're going to talk about that after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Thursday 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. with late night openings Fridays until 7. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725 822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Visit Heron Auto Donegal Town for an incredible range of Kia 242 offers. Check out our range of diesel, hybrid, plug-in hybrid and fully electric EVs, as well as exciting models like the new 7-seat Sorrento. With finance available from 0%, a free home charger and a €500 super value gift card on all orders before June 30th. Visit Heron Auto, Killybegs Road, Donegal Town or see heronauto.ie.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Boost your brain function with Remind supplements this May. Visit Healthwise Pharmacies for the innovative Life Meter test. In just 1 minute, measure your carotenoid levels from a simple fingertip scan. Understanding your diet can help you take charge of your brain health. Remind's blend of carotenoids and omega-3 fatty acids supports normal brain function. Make an appointment today at Ballyreen and Dunlow Healthwise Pharmacies. Take the first step towards a healthier brain with Remind.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
Now, Gardaí have confirmed to us, Gardaí and Muff that is, that they are investigating a dog attack which took place in the Muff area on Sunday. A man aged in his 20s received medical attention. His injuries are not life-threatening, but I've seen an image of his injuries and I can tell you they are absolutely brutal. Councillor Terry Crossan joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Terry.
Hi, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Terry. How did you learn of this dog attack?
Yeah, right. I was made aware of this yesterday afternoon, where a friend of the injured party rang me to make me aware of it. And when he described the dog and he described the general area it happened in, I would know the dog, I would know the individual who owns it. They take very good care of their dog, are out every day, morning, noon and night exercising the dog. And this dog is always kept under control, always on a lead. But when I heard of the incident and then subsequently I saw an image of the injuries that had been caused, the person told me that he had been trying to contact the dog warden. Dog warden obviously wasn't available. He then, I advised him to contact Gardaí to make a complaint. Gardaí, to be fair, are extremely busy. They weren't aware of the gravity of the injuries, so they weren't really taking it, overly seriously until I rang the Garda barracks and told them, look, this is a very serious incident. This needs immediate attention and needs immediate action. And to be fair, the Gardaí acted on it straight away after I sent them an image of his injuries. So that's underhand now. There is moves being made to address the situation. I really don't want to say too much as the investigation is ongoing. It could end up in court. So, as I say, I don't want to jeopardize anything like that.
Okay, you said this dog. What do you know? What type of dog it is?
Yeah, it's a large Rottweiler dog.
So how would a Rottweiler dog be able to do this kind of damage through a muzzle?
Well, it didn't have a muzzle.
Well, you said
it was on heat,
yes,
but my information is any time.
Yeah, but you said at the very beginning, Terry. You said at the very beginning that this dog is always under control.
Yeah, it's under control, but it doesn't necessarily have. I don't know what the legal requirements are.
It has to have a
They're
muzzle
very
on.
vague.
Yeah, it has to have, it's not vague at all.
It's a big dog. It may be in the category of a dangerous dog. So if it is in that category, it should have a
that's quite
muzzle
correct,
and
indeed.
Should definitely be always on a lead.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just to clarify that. Now, I saw the injury. I didn't want to look at it, but I thought it important to look at it. And it is
absolutely, and that's
absolutely
what prompted me to contact the Gardaí and urge them to give this incident the highest priority in addressing it. Yeah.
This is not the first dangerous dogs incident. Sorry, I don't know. I was reading Dangerous Dogs just when I said this. This is not this obviously is an attack on a human, a very, very serious attack. Looking at that image, and that's very near a very, very important vein that runs up the thigh. We could be talking about something very different today, but there have been other instances involving dogs, generally speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was another incident in my own area over the last bank holiday weekend when two dogs were at large and got into a property and killed three wee pet lambs that were somebody's grandchildren had been looking after and feeding every day. The dogs got out, they got into the paddock and killed them. And the problem was it happened over a bank holiday weekend. There was no availability of a dog warden. A dog warden is only available every day from 10:30 until 1:30 every day. Monday to Saturday, not available at weekends, not available over bank holidays, and not available in an emergency. Yesterday's incident was very much an emergency, and we need a designated line that we can contact dog wardens in the case of a serious incident.
And that's your principal call today, isn't it? Obviously, reacting to the news, and we appreciate your accepting
absolutely.
the invite. You want a full-time dog warden that can be contacted at any time.
Yes, we need an emergency line. I mean, who knows what time a dog is going to be out of control, attack someone, cause an injury. So therefore, there must be a designated line that we, as members of the public, can contact the dog warden to have these issues addressed.
Yeah, and just to be clear, as I say, I don't know the instance surrounding this case or not, but owners of dangerous dogs will receive on-the-spot fines of €300 if their pets are not muzzled under new laws. This includes fining the owners of dogs who attack sheep. The current list includes American Pit Bull Terriers, Rottweilers, Staffordshire Bull Terriers, and Doberman Pinschers, amongst others. XL American Bully dogs are to be added to that. So, as I say, I can't speak to this this particular
absolutely.
instant.
People, and I am a dog owner myself. I love dogs, but owners need to take responsibility. If you have a dog that is in a particular category, you need to make sure that all the criteria for looking after those dogs, keeping those dogs under control properly is applied, and that needs to be done, and we have to reinforce those restrictions from here on in, because had that been a child who was attacked on that greenway yesterday, there would have been catastrophic outcomes.
Well, just to back that point up, this man, who obviously runs quite a lot and there's a lot of muscle in the thigh area, has been left with a gaping wound in his thigh. If that was a child's throat or something, there is no doubt what would have happened. So dogs, certainly dogs of a certain category, I don't know what the case was in this case, it's not for me to comment, should be on a lead, a short lead, by the way, not a long lead, not one of those ones that expands, and they should have a muzzle on. As I say, that's generally speaking.
The greenway is a great asset to our area, to our whole community, and the number of people on it every day is absolutely unbelievable, from all ages, old, young, on bicycles or whatever, and people walking dogs properly under control, but everybody must be responsible. And if you have a large dog that could be unpredictable, if he falls into a specific category, the criteria has to be applied, and that dog has to be properly controlled, either by, obviously all dogs should be on a lead, but if it's in that category, it should be muzzled.
No, it has to be muzzled. It is the law. I'll just reiterate it again. The Control of Dogs Regulations, 1998. These dogs listed need to be muzzled in public. These dogs listed must be on a short lead, less than 2 meters. The leash must be sufficiently strong, or it needs to be a chain. And as I say, the restricted dog breeds are American Pit Bull Terrier, English Bull Terrier, Bull Mastiff, Doberman Pinscher, Rottweiler, German Shepherd stroke Alsatian, the Rhodesian Ridgeback, Japanese Akita, Japanese. Anyway, all the I don't need to go through them all. All the regulations are there. So we shall see. But your principal call here is that you ring the guards. They say you need to ring the dog warden, but we don't have a dog warden on duty all of the time to call in cases of an emergency.
Yes, absolutely, Greg. Okay. And it's something that I'm going to be addressing. It's something I'm going to take on board, and we need greater clarification on their availability. We need an emergency number where they can be called at any hour and issues addressed.
Thanks very much for that. That's Councillor Terry Crossan there, 086 60 25,000. We may be speaking to the victim of that attack later on in the programme. No? Okay. Obviously, they're focusing on getting medical attention this morning, but we have been in contact with them. A harrowing experience, and the image of the injury is too gruesome, actually, to even display at this point, and also to the person who is the victim at this point does not want that shared publicly. Okay, back with more shortly.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Because your no claims bonus matters to you, it matters to us. That's why all AXA car insurance policies include accident forgiveness as standard. So you'll never lose all of your no claims bonus if you have an accident or a claim is made against you. Get a quote today at axa.ie. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. Accident forgiveness is step back. No claims discount protection for customers with 4 or more years. No claims discount. AXA Insurance DAC is authorised and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Did you know Cool Kids Sligo have the biggest range of baby equipment in the Northwest with 25 years of baby expertise? Cool Kids Sligo take deposits on your baby bundle. Visit us in store at Cool Kids Sligo or shop online at babyaccessories.ie for free nationwide delivery. Make Cool Kids Sligo your number one destination for all things baby.
If you're running low on worktop space, the new Ninja double stack air fryer is perfect. Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics. With 2 stacked drawers and 2 meal racks, it evenly cooks 4 layers of food at the same time. Perfect for up to 8 people, saving up to 55% on energy costs compared to conventional ovens. See the new Ninja double stack air fryer at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With over 50 years of serving the community in Donegal, McElhinney's is proud to be part of every moment, big and small. Support local, shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
So a little cloudy this morning with some patchy drizzle. It'll become drier by the afternoon, but it will remain rather overcast with limited sunny spells. Highest temperatures 13 to 16 degrees in a light northerly breeze. Councillor Martin McDermott is the chair of the Defectives Block Committee with Donegal County Council, and he joins us now. Good morning, Martin. Thanks for your time today.
Good morning, Greg.
I suppose what we're starting to see now is research and studies sort of backing up what we knew or we believe to be inevitable. And weekend reports tell us that homes in at least 16 counties have been affected by defective concrete as new research questioned the future of a European certification and safety standard for building materials. So what was your takeaway from these reports?
Yeah, well, firstly, I suppose, Greg, Petrolab, who are company that have done a lot of the research here in Donegal, though to be a company that have put together a vast majority of the reports that we have seen from the houses here. And they are doing quite a bit of research at the minute on other counties around the country. They are saying now that there is defective materials in 16 different counties. Some of those counties, I suppose, have been taking materials from counties that are close by to them, so they mightn't just actually be within those counties. But it's certainly, we're in a position where it's never been more important that the National Standards Authority, that they get this IS 465 updated to a level where we know exactly what the parameters are in relation to mica, what the parameters are in relation to pyrite, and all the deleterious materials, so that when engineers are making recommendations on homes, that those recommendations are the right recommendations, that those recommendations are ones that can be stood over for the next 40 years. And I think that's the vital thing and the vital bit of information that has to be put together, and that needs to happen really quickly. As you see, with that report, there are bigger elements all around the country now that will tie into this, so that needs to be prioritised.
Do you think many houses with defective concrete, with the likes of pyrite and other chemicals, are being missed because of our testing regime? That's a question I haven't really been able to get an answer to. Do you know? So in other words, are there homes that are deteriorating and are crumbling, maybe not to the extent where it's blatantly obvious, but are being missed due to our current testing process?
Yeah, well, the testing process that is done by the likes of the Petrolabs and by the geologists that are working for those companies, the tests and the reports that are sent back to the professionals would stipulate, what deleterious materials are there. I suppose the problem that we have is that the standard in which those reports are sort of looked at from, and the standard that we have here to determine what remediation option the house has to get, that's where the problem lies at the minute. That standard hasn't been updated, as you know, since it was put together in 2017.
Can you give us a real world example of that then? So in other words, our standard versus what's coming back from Petrolab, in the absence of it being updated, what is a real world scenario that's happening that shouldn't be happening then?
Well, you could have a situation, Greg, where a house would get a remediation option instead of a full demolish, because of high levels of deleterious materials that we don't actually know at the minute as to what the levels are that could cause future deterioration to that house. So there are issues there as a local authority. Going back to 2022, we wrote to the department before Christmas that year, and clearly said to the department that we had major issues with what was coming into the local authority in relation to the Petrolab reports. You might remember it took about 9 months then to get an answer back as to what we could do with that, and that we were allowed then to take deleterious materials into consideration. But again, that's just to take it into consideration. There is no actual update to the standard to allow professionals that are making these decisions to make them with a standard that's there, because the standard is, as I said, is 5 or 6 years old now at this stage.
And at what stage of the process of updating that standard are we at?
Well, there has been a lot of work done by the National Standards Authority to date and the department. The last conversation that we had with them as a council, they said that late 2024, early 2025, and it was asked at some of the Oireachtas committee meetings as well by some of the politicians asked the National Standards Authority when they would have their report done. Now, they did say at that something similar timelines, late 2024, early 2025, before they would have a report back to update that standard. So we're probably looking at another 6 months, Greg, if we're to be honest, before we have anything in relation to when the standard will be updated.
The lag confuses me somewhat, because this is all homeowner driven in terms of identifying it initially as a Donegal problem, having to campaign for that to be recognised, for responsibility to be accepted, and for a scheme to be put in place. Then it was homeowners again that are saying, right, it's not just here, it's down the West Coast. And now we've got those affected again driving this. Europe, the penny seems to have dropped there. Obviously, the homeowners know. And now, because of their hard work and the campaigners' hard work, we're starting to find out how extensive this problem is. Why do you think there is such a lag from government in not saying, we've uncovered this, we're taking a lead on it? It confuses me, given the absolute scale of this crisis. This has turned from a terrible large wave to a tsunami across the country, and yet it's still talked of. It's still talked of as if we recognise the problem and we've put a solution in there onto the next thing. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't know what your reaction to it is.
Yeah, look, certainly, Greg. I mean, this is not just a legal problem, as everybody knows now. It's a countrywide problem, and I do feel that the length of time that it's taken to update that standard, because if we go back again, as I said, to 2022, if we go back to 2020, when the scheme was announced in June 2020, by December of 2020, senior engineers within the council had wrote to the department as well, through our own Defective Concrete Block Committee. We wrote to the department with issues and with saying that the reports that were coming in back even as far as 2020 were showing different deleterious materials, different to the standards that was there in relation to freeze thaw. So there's been quite a lot of years have went past here where we should have, that standard should have been updated long before now, to be fair, but it hadn't, and we are keeping the pressure on to get that done. I suppose it does take a bit of time to get that done, but it is the one element of this whole scheme and this whole, not just in Donegal, but for the whole country, that will have a major effect on how things move forward. And I think that's the one that needs to be delivered on urgently.
And the housing market itself. I mean, if we get to a stage where every property that is being sold, and this is very familiar to people in Donegal, that every property that's being sold across the country is tested, that could be the next big issue, that the house prices could begin to collapse. Who's to say? I don't know, but the ramifications could be huge.
We have that same situation with our own council stock. We have the same situation with people that want to buy homes here in this county, where the standard again has an influence on how and what people can buy. And that has a big knock-on effect for people, particularly younger people that want to buy a house to start a family. That has a big knock-on effect.
for sure. Councillor Martin McDermott, thanks for your time. He's chair of the Defective Blocks Committee with Donegal County Council. We're going to be speaking GEAA with our good friend Brendan Devaney a little later on, by the way. So if you have any comments or questions about the weekend's action, feel free to get in touch with us now, and we'll put those to Brendan. But we're going to take a break for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
With over 1,000 TFI Local Link door-to-door services nationwide, if you're on our route, we're on our way. To use the service, simply pre-book the day before you want to travel with your TFI Local Link office. To find out more about door-to-door services in your area, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
Don't know if you know Alice and Pat. Late 40s, couple of kids, been together 17 years. Never married, of course, but that's not a problem. Until something happens. And suddenly words like unmarried, inheritance, and substantial tax bill enter the equation. You never need proper estate planning. Until you do. That's why the experienced team at McElhenney & Associates are here to help. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney & Associates Solicitors, Stranraer.
Every day's an exciting adventure with the National Trust. Spend summer exploring magnificent mansions, glorious gardens, tree-lined trails and riverside rambles. Hop into the wildlife heptathlon at Mount Stewart or walk the plank by the River Blackwater at the Argery. Pick up pond dipping kits at Florence Court. Take aim at archery at Castle Ward or try lazy lawn games at Rowan Garden. With lots of "Can we come again?" on the way home. Search National Trust NI to find out more. National Trust, for everyone, forever.
From outdoor lighting to interior floor and ceiling lights and lamps, Foy & Company's lighting department at Ballybuffet and Letterkenny have everything you need for your home or garden. If you're unsure about the type of lighting that might work for your space, reach out to one of our team members who'll be more than happy to help. We work with commercial and residential clients. Lighting is an important part of a room's design, so it's worth getting right. See the difference at Foy & Company of Ballybuffet and Letterkenny.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,850 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. A man in his 20s has been required to attend hospital to receive medical attention after he was bitten by a dog in Muff yesterday. It's understood to have been a Rottweiler. Gardaí say investigations are ongoing, and it follows an incident in which 3 pet lambs were killed in a 2-dog attack last week. Councillor Terry Crossan is calling for a permanent dog warden in the county.
The dogs got out, they got into the paddock and killed them. And the problem was it happened over a bank holiday weekend. There was no availability of a dog warden. A dog warden is only available every day from 10:30 until 1:30 every day. Monday to Saturday, not available at weekends, not available over bank holidays, and not available in an emergency. Yesterday's incident was very much an emergency.
People in Northern Ireland are being urged to ensure they're registered to vote ahead of the UK's upcoming general election. The deadline closes tomorrow, with polling taking place on Thursday, the 4th of July. Those who need to can register online on the gov.uk website. Alternatively, registration can be completed at a local voter registration kiosk. These are located in the reception areas of the council's offices at Strand Road in Derry, Derry Road in Strabane and the Derg Valley Leisure Centre. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage will unveil the Reform UK's manifesto for the British general election, at which the party is calling a contract with voters. He says the location was chosen, in his words, because it shows what happens to a country when Labour is in charge. It follows a recent YouGov poll which showed his party overtake the Conservatives for the first time. Former Tory Defence Secretary Liam Fox explains why their voters shouldn't switch to Reform UK.
The price for what they think is a protest vote would be a Labour government that would do the very things, for example, in the referendum, that they voted against. It is completely illogical.
We could get some detail today of what form strike action could take at Aer Lingus if a second ballot for industrial action is passed. Pilots have been taking part in a paper vote after the airline rejected an earlier e-ballot in which 97.7% of them backed strike action in a row over pay. A similar result is expected later. Travel journalist Owen Corey says the airlines asked for 15 days' notice of any work stoppages, but it's unlikely to get it.
Aer Lingus will not only have to take the hit on the forward bookings, they'll also have to take the hit on getting the passengers from A to B. They'll also have to pay compensation under EU 261 for the strike. The union doesn't pay the compensation, the airline pays the compensation, and that is it's a lot of damage that can be inflicted on the airline, and they've no intention, I can tell you, of giving 15 days notice.
Work-life balance is becoming increasingly important for workers here. A survey by the Stepstone Group has found almost half of those looking for a new job say they would turn down any offer that didn't allow for hybrid working or working from home options. Pay is also still a high priority for those looking to change job. MD of Sanderson Recruitment, Donal O'Donoghue, says companies have to accept that the working from home genie is now out of the bottle.
We've seen organisations in many respects try to mandate more physical time in office, but employees are not buying into it. And of course, we're talking about roles that can be delivered remotely. We know that roles in healthcare and construction and personal services, etc., this doesn't apply to. But for office workers, the best talent expect this level of collaboration and an ability to work remotely.
71% of people surveyed say they're concerned about what's real and what's fake on the internet. A new report by Commission Le Mans shows online outlets are now the main source of news for people here, ahead of TV, radio and newspapers. A quarter of 18 to 24-year-olds are now paying for their news. Ronan O'Donnell from Commission Le Mans says Irish people are worried about fake news on social media.
So for people who find it difficult or somewhat difficult to tell if the news is trustworthy, that can be it's high for TikTok, 39%, 37% for X, 33% for Facebook. So yeah, that's where this issue of trust and trust in what news you can believe in comes into the equation.
Looking now to weather, a little cloudy this morning with some patchy drizzle. It will become drier by the afternoon, but will remain overcast with limited sunny spells. That's with highest temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Monday morning, June 17th. The death has taken place of Margaret Maggie Sweeney, ní McDermott, Ballybowes, Creasla. Her remains are reposing at her late residence in Ballybowes. House strictly private all day today. Wake tomorrow and Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m, all welcome. Funeral Mass in St Michael's Church, Creasla on Thursday at 12 noon. Burial afterwards in Doe Graveyard. Mass can be viewed live on mcn.live. Family time please on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or James Harkin Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Sammy Porter, Maharaboy Killigordon. His remains will repose at his late residence today from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Funeral leaving there tomorrow at 1:30 for 2 o'clock funeral service in St Patrick's Church, Donoughmore, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family time please on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Terence McClintock Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Pat O'Donnell, 35 Orchard Road, Strabane, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow at 9:15 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Strabane Cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Phil Rogers and Mina Creve Annagry. Remains are en route to Star of the Sea Church, Annagry for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock with interment in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Phil McKinney, 45, Bowling Green, Strabane, and formerly of Inch Haney, Strabane. Funeral leaving Quigley's funeral home at 10:30 this morning for cremation in Lakeland's Crematorium Cavan at 1 p.m. Donations in lieu of flowers please to the Foyle Hospice care of Quigley Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
The National Inpatient Experience Survey is underway. If you spent 24 hours or more in a public hospital during May this year, you may have received an invitation in the post asking you to take part in the survey. Sharing your experience will help us to improve hospital care for everyone. For more information, visit yourexperience.ie. Thank you from the HSE, HICWA and the Department of Health.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the second hour of the programme. Good morning to you. If you've just tuned in, how are you all keeping out there? Councillor Michael McClafferty contacted us to say we should not have dangerous dogs in the county or even the country. We live in a tourist county and there are children out and about all the time. There have been a number of dog attacks recently. 30 years ago in England, you'd turn on the TV and a child was mauled or attacked by dogs. Rottweilers were the mentioned dog back then. Hi Greg, people including myself have for years said that the agriculture industry and its associate industries are the most powerful entities in this country. They have our own two main government parties in their pockets, and I've texted you before regarding the egregious grant of approximately 75 million every year to millionaires, tax-free. It's disgusting, yes indeed. I have received numerous texts over the years along those lines. The RTE investigation was a hard watch. It was horrific. This industry needs more regulation. It is animal abuse. Another caller says, accountability. Where does the buck stop? Is the minister going to do the right thing? Another, yes, it is awful what's going on in the horse industry, but can you make that lady aware that not all horse owners disregard horses when they're finished racing? Many race horses that have retired are still being well looked after by their owners. Don't tar everyone with the same brush. I've great faith in the listenership of this programme and the Irish public generally speaking, especially like when we're talking about animal cruelty to horses, dog ownership, for an example. You know, we are obviously talking about... we are talking about the bad guys here, not everybody. And I think the general public are clever enough to be able to distinguish between that. But I can understand why you felt the need to text in, and that's, of course, why I read it. There was a scale to what was uncovered on the RTE Investigates programme, though, that can't be ignored. And as I say, I think most people recognise that we're not talking about everyone here. We all know in this country it's all about who you are as to whether you'll be investigated or not. That's what some people think. A caller says they already had a sham referendum on some of the areas in Ukraine. If people who want to be part of Ukraine have been forced out, you have to have a fair referendum. Russia wants to control Ukraine. Indeed, I want to avert a world war. I want a world for my children and their children to grow up in. I understand the nuances and all of that. I mean, maybe the disputed land, the referenda could be held in years to come with obviously international oversight. Maybe that could form part of the process. I really don't know. But I would just like to hear people talking about solutions rather than 80 countries getting together without Russia or their principal supporters, China, at it. And in Russia, we have Vladimir, we have the President Putin there, outlining what his pathway to peace is. And, there is no concerted effort really at the moment to get all of the parties around the one table. So you have, one side making their statements, which obviously are not going to jive with the other side. And then the other side getting together with all its mates and making its statement. How is that preventing this escalating to a point of no return? Greg, great admiration. By the way, yes, we had Letitia McDade on the show on Friday. And she was talking about the loss of her son, Connor. He passed away in a drowning accident when he was just 4 years of age. And it was 25 years since his passing on Friday. and would be his 30th birthday on August 2nd. And the question is really, how do you cope? Everyone copes differently. I got some contacts then from people afterwards, and their response was to the question, how do you cope? They can't cope. It's astonishing. There's so many people out there not able to deal with the grief, going through life, unable to get to a point where time heals or makes it easier for them. For many, many, many people, lots and lots of you moved by Letitia's bravery and her story, getting an awful lot of help from it as well, but also recognising that there are people who can't move forward at all. And a few of them contacted me, and I had a chat with a few of them on social media over the weekend, and hopefully there does come a time where things become a little bit more bearable for them. But just to this comment, Greg, great admiration for Letitia McDade in the way she dealt with her loss of her wee boy. Some people turn very bitter when they lose a child, and that's very understandable too. But it would be easier for them and those around them if they were able, with help, to deal with it like Letitia has. God bless you and your whole family. And a lot of Letitia's moving forward is meeting up with particularly other mothers that have gone through the same situation. My mother-in-law has been in the emergency department for the past 13 hours. She's 79. There are no beds. She's got nowhere to go. That came in on Friday, I believe. Those stories really do bother me, and we try and highlight it as much as we can. Hi, Greg. It's about time something is done about Letterkenny Hospital, says another listener. It's a disaster. We had our mother sent in yesterday by her doctor in a letter saying urgent. Went in at 4 p.m, had to take her out at 9 p.m, for they said it could be tomorrow before she's seen. Landed at midnight and seen to within 30 minutes and got a comfortable bed. A trolley by 3 a.m. Where is the management at LUH? Sorry, let me read that again, because the bottom line was cut off. I'll read it in its entirety. Hi, Greg. It's about time something is done about Letterkenny Hospital. It's a disaster. We had our mother sent in yesterday by her doctor and a letter saying urgent. Went in at 4 p.m. and had to take her out at 9 p.m. for they said it could be tomorrow before she'd be seen about getting a bed. We said no way and headed to Sligo. We landed at Sligo University Hospital at midnight and we were seen to within 30 minutes and got a comfortable bed trolley by 3 a.m. That's that text in its entirety there. A little later on, by the way, we have talked about this before, but we're going to try and talk about it in a different way today to try and progress the conversation. And that is the lack of female representation in the council chambers. Now, half of you are women listening to this show, at least half of you. And I really want, even for those of you who don't normally text into radio shows, to text us in to join this conversation. And give me your reasons as to why we only have 3 female councillors out of 37 councillors. A lot of female councillors were put forward. Is it that women are less inclined to vote? Women don't just vote for women, they vote for the person and the issues rather than the person's gender. And we, more votable characters than that are males than are females. Do you think parties need to do more? I just want it to be slightly more nuanced and see if we can sort of get to a position whereby we can move forward on it, because as I say, half the population are women, and we're nowhere near that level of representation in the local authority. So, and we are laggards compared to sort of the national scene or other counties. So please get involved in that conversation. Let me know what you think. And we'll see if we can come up with some sort of a consensus. Right, we are going to take a very quick break. Stay with us, back after these.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 17th of June. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S1. It's game number 25. The numbers are 30, 65, 59, 67, 37, 51, 35, 33, 66, and finally 48. Phone your claim tonight, 104833 before 8 tonight. leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com. Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Thursday 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. with late night openings Fridays until 7. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725 822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
This year, Kia has unbeatable offers just for you. With any 242 pre-order, you'll receive a €500 Super Value voucher and 7-year warranty. And there's more. Enjoy 0% finance on all electric vehicles and get a free home charger. At iMotors, we're proud to stock the World Car of the Year, the EV9, and Donegal's best-selling car, the Sportage. Visit iMotors in Drumkeen or Malin today and take advantage of these limited time offers. Don't miss out.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Looking for the perfect pair of shoes? Master Shoe have it all. Whether you want summer sandals, casual trainers, a comfortable boot, a suit shoe or the perfect occasion wear heel, shop Master Shoe Ballybuffet for women's and men's footwear for every occasion.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. Just seen Oisin there at the window, and maybe some of you missed the draw for the next round of the quarterfinals, effectively the quarterfinal prelims. The draw was made this morning. For those of you who missed it, Mayo will play Derry, Louth will play Cork, Tyrone will play Roscommon, Galway will play Monaghan. We don't know who Donegal will play yet. I presume that's another draw down the line, but we've already played Tyrone twice. Do we want to play them again? How's that going to be sorted? Anyway, we'll chat to Brendan Devaney a little later on as well, just to find out, can we play Tyrone for a third time? Or is that avoided once you get past the prelim quarterfinals? Right, let's get back to the issue of how we treat horses in this country. Martin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks very much for joining us. Right, you've kind of got do you have an inside track on our treatment of horses? Do you work in this industry?
No, I used to work on a slaughterhouse, but it wasn't horses that we were dealing with, it was cattle. Now, I did say to the person I was speaking to, I think it was Shannon, that was more on the cattle side, and it was to do with contaminated food going into normal food groups.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just give you a proper rundown of a normal day that this practice still goes on to this day. So you'd have two vets and, say, the slaughter hall. So if there's any meat at all that's contaminated, they would spray it with green ink, and it goes down what you would call a category green or category C sheet, and it's not for human consumption.
When we talk about contaminated, what does that mean, Martin?
So, for example, say if the animal had cancer, or say if the person that was taking out the stomach and the stomach burst, and so there would be feces on the meat itself, so then it would be classified then as category C, not fit for human consumption.
Right.
So that's okay. So everything was doing a category C sheet, and so at the end of the day, then once all the vets are gone, then the contaminated food group goes back up onto the normal kill area, and then all the green ink then is taken off it, and that's put back into normal food consumption.
I would presume that there's much more money in the category, I don't know, is it A, B and C, is it? But I presume category C meat, category C meat is worth much less than the other meat that can go into the food chain, the human food chain.
No, category C has to be destroyed because it's not fit for human consumption, or it's not even fit for pet food.
Right.
So it has to be destroyed.
Understood.
So, as I said, then it goes back up again, the ink is taken off, and it's put back onto. Now, I done a full detailed report on this in 2015. I sent it off to the Department of Agriculture. I sent it off to the two main customers of
Yeah, well, we'll not go into. We can't go into anything specific at all. But go ahead. Yep.
But I did not get a reply from anyone on it.
Were you able to document it in any other way than sort of like, you know, a witness statement, if you know what I mean, Martin? Were you able to video any of it, or?
I took photographs. It was a full detailed report on everything. Took photographs, and yet never heard no reply. And this practice still goes on to this day.
Wow. So, and the main thing we're talking about here is meat where there could have been contamination with a broken stomach or bowel, or the cow was deemed to have cancer. That would go into Lane C effectively to be destroyed. That would happen in the eyesight of the vet, in terms of it going down a different chute, so to speak. But you're saying
yes,
that would then be returned to the same production line, the green ink washed off.
Yes, that's cut off there.
And you don't believe you're saying that this you don't think this is a very isolated sort of situation?
No, it's widespread because I've worked in 3 different slaughterhouses within the same group. Not going to mention the group, but yes, they all do the same thing.
All right, Martin. Listen, thanks for that. An eye opener. That's Martin there with his eyewitness situation. Right, let's move back to some of your comments here. On dangerous dogs, 100% responsibility would be placed on the owner for any injuries or death. We would soon see muzzles on dangerous dogs then, as it would be in the dog owner's best interest. Yeah, but I mean, like, we have laws in this country. It's about adhering to the laws, isn't it? I mean, there are very specific laws about so-called dangerous dogs. They're called dangerous dogs because they're on a list of specific breeds, in terms of the strength of the leash, the length of the leash, whether or not they should be muzzled in public. You know, that law's already there. So if that was being enforced, would we need to get to the next step here that this listener's talking of? I had an incident with a loose pug dog on Saturday afternoon in the Glencar area while out walking my cockapoo, when this pug attacked him, targeting his ear. I lifted my dog up into my arms, in which the pug jumped up on my legs, leaving me with a few bruises. It was a scary experience. A very kind girl passing by in her car witnessed the attack and stopped with us, checking we were okay. Owners have to be more responsible for these dogs. I've left a voicemail with the dog warden. Hi Greg, sorry to hear about the dog attack on that poor man in Inishowen. Owners need to take responsibility for their dogs. It is a serious problem in Drumbo Woods, Stranora, where people take their dogs for a walk and let them run on ahead of them without any consideration for others, especially children and adults with a fear of dogs. Total joke. Yeah, I don't know how to phrase this. Listen, I understand most dog owners are responsible, but I don't think dog owners know that we don't really want to be around their dogs when they're not under control, and we certainly don't want to be around certain breeds when they're not wearing muzzles. I don't know how that penny's going to drop, and they love their dogs and they get quite offensive if you were to point it out, but go to any beach where dogs are not supposed to be off their leash today and you'll see dogs running around, and you drive down with your kid or whatever and you turn around and go out again because you just don't want the hassle. If a crash occurs that the road authority could prevent, then the road authority could be held liable. Likewise, if a dog attack occurs that the dog owner could prevent, perhaps the dog owner could be held liable. Well, I mean, just to be clear, generally speaking, there are instant fines that can be laid on a dog owner if they're not under control or not muzzled if they should be, but also to and this is why we have to be careful with what we say, a criminal investigation can be launched and arrests can be made and prosecutions can follow. So there are laws there. It's not just that, your dog can bite someone, and I'm speaking generally, not about a specific case here, that your dog can bite someone and you're completely insulated. You can't point at the dog and say, hey, it was him, not me. Do you know what I mean? There are certain consequences potentially for dog owners. What is the annual salary for a county councillor these days, including expenses? I think it's around about 40k if you're on a few committees and what have you. Hi, just wondering, does anyone know who I would contact in relation to the pedestrian crossing at Electoral, or is it a pedestrian crossing as most of the cars don't even stop? That comes in from Tracy. Tracy, we've discussed this before, and I don't use that road very much, but not surprisingly, I did use it quite a bit. In the lead up to the elections, and I was overtaken and I was bibbed at and had my lights flashed, As far as I'm concerned, that's a pedestrian crossing. That's how I view it. I could be wrong. It's got the flashing lights. It's black and white. The pedestrian would seemingly, if it's safe to do so, have the right of way there. But it's not seen like that. As I said, me trying to respect it, I was honked and hollered at. There are loose sheep at Quigley's Point near the new cycle lane. Be careful if you're out and about. Last one just before a break. Prime Time investigates mentioned as a good reason to justify paying a TV licence. Going forward in the era of AI, you would wonder about the credibility of a programme relying heavily on video footage from hidden cameras. This programme cost us 15 minutes when it falsely accused Father Kevin Reynolds of fathering a child during missionary work in Africa, ignoring all offers of paternity DNA tests pre-broadcast. All right, I take your point. Let us take a very short break. Back after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
If you know the beauty and skincare product that suits you best, you'll find them at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From moisturisers, cleansers and toners to day creams and night creams, McGee's have the top brands you know and love, like Lancôme, Clarins and La Roche-Posay. Also Elizabeth Arden, Vichy, Nukes and many more. All at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
Did you know that low mood, feeling anxious, trouble sleeping, and stress are all part of our mental health? Signs that can be harder to recognise in yourself. For personalised advice that can help, use the My Mental Health Plan tool at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSE.
Here at Kelly Cleaning Equipment, we have everything you need to clean your home, garden and business. As an official Gold Plus cashier dealer, we offer brand-leading domestic and commercial pressure washers, vacuum cleaners, floor scrubbers, steam cleaners, carpet cleaners and much more. Come and see us at Eurohouse, Killybegs Road, Donegal Town or online at kellycleaningequipment.ie. And for a limited time only, claim up to €150 cashback when purchasing a Cashier Professional Pressure Washer. Kelly Cleaning Equipment. Choose Cashier.
Pulse and Voodoo Venue are your entertainment headquarters this rally weekend. Join us this Thursday at Voodoo Venue for a live broadcast of the Jive Time Show with live performances by the Whistling Donkeys and One for the Road, plus lots of spot prizes. Don't miss an unforgettable afternoon of great music and giveaways. Live from Voodoo Venue this Thursday from 2:30.
And just to mention, by the way, in case it doesn't get covered elsewhere, we talk quite a bit about the nature restoration law and the ins and outs and pros and cons of it. Well, it is law now because it has been approved by EU member states this morning in Luxembourg. That's the last hurdle it had to leap before becoming law across all member states, including us here. 6 countries voted against it, but not Ireland. We voted in favour of it. So the nature restoration law is now, in fact, law. Right, let's get back to local matters, though that is a local matter as well. And details have shown that 61 people had to wait longer than 1 hour for an ambulance to arrive between July and December of 2023. That's according to newly released figures from the National Ambulance Service under the Freedom of Information Act and was reported by the Irish Mail on Sunday. Yesterday, Councillor Jay McMonigal is a member of the Health Regional Forum. What's your reaction to these figures, Councillor? Good morning to you, Jerry, by the way.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning to all the listeners as well. Yeah, look, it's not news to me, I have to say, unfortunately, because this is something that's been getting raised at the Regional Health Forum for quite some time now, right across the Celta area, along the western coastline, Donegal down to Galway. And there has been concerns raised about the response times by almost every county. And it's from this latest report that when you have 850 seriously ill or injured patients having to wait for more than an hour, then that's worrying, and it's something that we need to look at and drill down into.
Well, the
and
first
see what
question
the
I would
causes
have
are.
is, yeah, exactly. So Donegal, 61 cases, Sligo, 4. So what's
Yeah.
Sligo doing that we're not doing? A simple analysis there might give us some indication.
Yeah, and that's what we were pointing out during the debates and the discussions we had around it about how different areas were responding in better ways. And again, geography has a part to play in this, but it's not entirely about geography. And if it is entirely about geography, then what we need to do is recruit more ambulance service personnel and put more units out there in the periphery of the county, and not just to have ambulance bases in the main towns or in the county. And this again is something we have raised as regards Donegal for quite a while. And in recent last 12 months, we've had more ambulances put into Buncrana and Inishowen, and also in Stranraer to try and address those concerns that have been raised. And as we know, the long time it takes to respond to a call.
Yeah, and I suppose we need to probably drill into the figures a little bit longer, a bit more as well, because apparently the ambulance service said they had been close to meeting their targets for responding to so-called purple and red calls. So that's where there's a life-threatening illness or injury, the likes of road traffic collisions or what have you, or if someone's having a heart attack. Now, they haven't met them all, but it's closer to that. So I'm not sure what the category then of patient is that witnessed these delays of over an hour, but because we know every second counts.
Yeah, and every second does count. And the other issue that we have is obviously ambulances being docked at Letterkenny University Hospital. The turnaround times, the knock-on effect to 7, 8, 9, 10 ambulances at times being queued up, awaiting to debus patients into the emergency department up there is causing untold issues and problems in response times. We're having to go outside the county end to bring ambulances in to respond to calls. But the other thing which I noticed in the report was that the calls were some calls were identified as a low acuity call, which wouldn't be that serious, and they could maybe have a bit of time before they could respond if there was a more serious case in the meantime. But I would just worry about that, because then they were upgraded to a higher acuity category. And I'm wondering, what has happened there? Is there a job of work to be done there, and how we grade calls when they come in? If someone is in serious need of an ambulance, it's an emergency, surely an ambulance should be dispatched straight away. But then if we haven't got the ambulance crews, if we haven't got the services, and I know we've just recently, now there have been 9 more ambulance service personnel coming on board in the next month or two, and that'd be very much welcome. And hopefully that will increase the crews that will be available at any given time. But my understanding, and I think there's only 12 crews available at any given day in Letterkenny or in Donegal, and is that sufficient? And we have argued it's not for quite a while now.
But it's how we respond, because, I presume we're using a national model that's employed in Dublin and Galway and all other places. Is it fit for purpose here, the way we sort of cover instances? We have the cases, don't we, of ambulances having to travel from Killybegs to the Twin Towns, or even from Carrick and Shannon to Letterkenny in the past. Is that system, this national model that seems to be employed, is it fit for purpose given the geographical nature of our county, but also the pressures on the hospital?
Not in Donegal, it's not. And again, we've argued that, because if you go down the country, go over by Louth and Drogheda around there, they have motorways running through the spine of them areas where ambulances can be deployed from nearby towns and be there in a very quick time up the motorway and into the town that way. We don't have that in Donegal. Mm-hmm. We have a massive county. It's geographically spread out. It's very sparse. There's people living in every corner of it. And what we try to do to meet that is probably like Buncrana, Carndonagh, Donegal Town, Killybegs, Letterkenny, Stranraer, to try and meet whatever may arise. But unfortunately, it's not enough at times, and we need, what we do need is more ambulance crews, more ambulance personnel. And in fairness to the service, they realise that, and they are recruiting on an ongoing basis. And if anybody has an inkling for that, type of work, I would recommend that they should give it a go, you know.
It doesn't help when we're spending many millions of euro on new road infrastructure that actually hinders the movement of ambulances, but that's maybe a conversation that's well rehearsed at this stage. For now, Councillor Jerry McMonagle, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. He's a member of the Health Regional Forum. At the weekend, the question was posed on social media: how do we get more women into politics? Last weekend, 37 councillors were elected to represent the people of Donegal and the County Council. Just 3 of the 37 are women. Councillor Gary Doherty asked, why is this? He said, I'm very proud that in Sinn Féin we had 7 female candidates, and of course we have Marilyn MacDonald and Michelle O'Neill in position as leaders of our party, and we have a fantastic new young councillor in Dakota McMenamin. But going forward, it isn't good enough that our council is not representative of the population of our county. Half of the county is women, of course, but 8% of the councillors are women, and on it goes. But, you know, we keep highlighting the issue. Can we find any solution or dig a little bit deeper into this? We have 3 guests with us. I'm going to say good morning first to my studio guest, Rebecca McDade. She ran for Ain't Do. Good morning to Rebecca.
Morning, Greg.
How are you getting on?
Doing okay.
Right, okay. You've had a week now to post-election, I suppose, to digest the experience. How would you describe it?
It's a great experience to be able to do it. It's very tiring. It's long. Also, just there's nothing in here, Greg. Just to let you know.
That's all right.
Is it meant to?
Yes. What about now?
No.
Nothing? I'll get to that in a second.
I can take them off if you
No,
wish.
no. What do you? Because I want you to hear all the 2 guests. Keep them on for a second, and I'll sort that out. What was the experience like?
It was brilliant. Even being out canvassing and knocking on doors, people were actually, they were happy that you actually come to the door and knock on the door and waiting for the responses.
How's the headphones now? How's the headphones?
A little bit better.
Do you want it louder?
There's a little bit feedback there.
Is there?
Yes,
That's because they're too loud.
Well, I don't know. My ears weren't great over the weekend, so I'm only coming round to
as
myself
long as you
now.
can hear me, we're all right. Yeah. But any negatives to the experience?
Not really, Greg. You know, it's time consuming. So I had to rely on my mother-in-law to get my washing done, to look about the children, to be at home and be there for them. So you do have that responsibility where you're going to be out every day. You know, I still try to keep my work going as well. So you have to plan. You have to really plan. And to be honest with you, I suppose you'd need to be canvassing a lot earlier than when I would have started. Now, like when you get into the nitty-gritty of what maybe, what keeps women back, you have health issues, you have the caring in the home, regardless of whether it's your children, whether it's
how fellas can
elderly.
do it, though?
It's a wee bit different, Greg,
How
because
is
the
it
woman's
different?
always there to back them up. They can always get away. They can always get to do the things they need to do because they have to do it. But the woman always has to think about everything else.
That was a bit cheeky.
I know
by
it
the
was,
way.
but I saw the smile, so I knew what you were doing.
I knew fine rightly. Yeah, I know.
But like
it's just life, isn't it?
It's just life, and we do take on that extra role where we want our work, but we also have the home, regardless of who's at home, that has to be cared for.
I think chatting to either Caroline or Shannon, you said, I would never expect anyone to vote for me just because I'm a woman. Why not?
No, because I believe in the right person for the job. And yes, it's
But
brilliant.
does your approach as a woman to all issues should that not give you an advantage in levelling the playing field? Should that not be a reason enough for women or fellas to say, right, actually, you know what, I'm actually going to vote for this person because they are a woman?
I've had that at the door.
yeah.
I've had people say to me, women especially, will say to me, I'm voting for you because you're a woman, end of. And yes, it's lovely to hear that, but I want them to know a wee bit more about me.
Yeah,
I want them to know
that,
who they're voting for, and I want them to understand what I'm about, so that they know why they're voting for me. Put it that way.
Yeah, stay with us and jump in and out of the conversation as you like. Joy Beard is a councillor with the 100% Redress Party. Again, congratulations to you, Joy, and Dakota McMenam's with us as well. Both of you, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Greg.
Right, Joy, what was your experience like in the canvass? Because I think some of these situations are slightly different because you were going there. I know you're not on one issue candidate, right? But you were in sort of the epicenter of this defective concrete crises with a very strong message in relation to that. And I'm not sure gender even comes into it in any way, shape or form. But I want your view on it. It doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah, well, I think that, going round the doors canvassing, as Rebecca said, it's a big task you're taking on. It is time consuming and very tiring. But mostly I found it was emotionally draining. You were speaking to people, every evening, every weekend, they were coming with you with their problems and the issues that they had. And I did find that I'd have brought that home, and that's just my nature. That I found was emotionally draining as well as the physical draining. You're out every night, you're committing so much time to canvassing, to getting yourself out there. I did find that that was hard to deal with, to be honest. Just as Rebecca said, you've got your everyday lives as well, and then you're hitting the canvassing trail. So it can be particularly tiring, I have to say, and emotionally draining.
And this is before you even officially take your seat in the council. I mean,
Yes,
what will life look like for you? Will you be able to keep all the balls in the air? Are you confident?
Oh yeah, very much so, Greg. I intend to give this my all. This will be, one of my main priorities now. The people have voted me in to be their voice. I've been an avid campaigner anyway in relation to the defective concrete crisis, so it does take up a considerable amount of my time already. But this is just an extra, being involved in the council and being that voice is really important to me, to be honest. So no, I'll make it work. Trust me.
No, I've no doubt. Was gender an issue for many people on the doorstep? Like, where they said, "Oh, right, she's a woman canvasser."
Yeah, I think people were surprised a few occasions. Now, I did have one occasion, my husband would have went canvassing with me, Greg, and there's one occasion he always stays well back, at the gate or whatever, just to be there in the background while I introduce myself to people. But there was a few people sort of said to me, why is he not coming and speaking to us? Why isn't he coming up and speaking to us? Because, and I had to emphasize, look, I'm the candidate. And that really, really did surprise them. And in turn, that really surprised me that they didn't even think a woman should be running for council elections, But there was that perception that it is a male dominated, politics is male dominated in general. So as I say, they were surprised to see a woman on the doorstep. I think a lot of people, to be honest.
And Dakota, your experience as well. Again, it's not unique, but it's going to be very different from a lot of the candidates I've spoken to over the years, because you're a recently new mum, which gives you a great insight into not only just a young person's but a young mum's attitude to everything as well. But you still had to balance all of that and put in a campaign.
Yeah, so there definitely was a lot of balancing that going on. My daughter, she's 1.5 or so it's all quite new to me, everything. But now I relied a lot on my mum, and she helped me out a lot with the babysitting and stuff. But yeah, going around the doors now, it was a good experience. I have to say, I didn't get too much negativity. I got a few kind of about my age, and kind of, some people at the doors not realizing that it's actually me canvassing. They're kind of like, "Oh, who is she?" And I'd have to be like, "Well, it's me." But and they were quite taken back then when they seen me, and they kind of realized that how young I was. But no, it was all quite good. And it's definitely difficult for a woman to put themselves out there, because you are putting yourself out for a lot of abuse as well, and there's definitely aspects of that as well. And you're putting yourself out for scrutiny, like people commenting on my age, and "Oh, sure, what would she know?" and comments like that. But you get rounded, and look, the people voted too, and it was great to see that there is 3 women in the council. And it's disappointing that there's not more, but at the end of the day, that's what happened. That's how the people voted.
And was it a learning curve for you as well? And I don't want to focus on your age, but we mix in our circles, and we have interactions with different people of all different generations and what have you. But I'm just wondering, was it a learning process for you, sort of knocking on the doors and engaging people with those issues, an experience within which you grew yourself as well?
Yeah, so the last about 5 years or so, I first got involved properly in politics with Sinn Féin. It was in 2019, and that was for Matt Carthy to the EU, and that's kind of started down in Kildare kind of area. So I had a lot of experience of being on the doors knocking, but it was a lot different now whenever you're asking them to vote for you and put their trust in you. And kind of people did kind of think, well, like she's, but only young. But I did get a lot of quite good responses about my age too. Like a lot of people were delighted to see that somebody young was entering the game.
And just in terms of who answered the door, I think it's often maybe going to be, mum or dad that opens the door. Like, did any teens or younger people come to the door after, or you know what I mean? Like I'm just wondering how did you engage with maybe, people more, in your peer group that you would like to see come out and vote?
Yeah, so there definitely was a lot of the older people at the doors, but some of the youth did come out, and it was more about getting them on the register than anything else, because a lot of them were kind of like, oh, well, I'm not registered, I don't know about this and all. But they were interested in it, but they just didn't seem to know how to go about it. So it was good kind of engaging with them and kind of telling them, well, you need to vote or you need to get registered by a certain date and all that.
And Dakota, when you talk about, negativity, was there much of it? And when we talk about negativity, was it sort of more comments about your age or your experience, or did it run any deeper than that? Not that that's not bad, but...
It didn't really run much deeper than that. It was more so my age, well, what will she do? Like, so she's only young, and she'll not be fit for all them ones in the council and all that. But no, it didn't.
That's what you said about the very first woman that was elected to the council, and she wasn't long proving. She wasn't long proving them wrong. Yes, indeed. Okay, maybe we need to brush up on our history. Any negativity for you, Rebecca?
No, I had one person who just said that for the party it wasn't for them.
Yeah, well that's fine, isn't it? That's democracy.
Which is perfectly fine, and I just said, look, that's okay. I did ask, well, what was the reason for it, and they just said don't want to talk about it, and that was it. So, but I do think that yes, Dakota is young, but when I think back on me, and whenever I started my business, I was only 19. When I bought my premises, I was only 22. I think if you have a determination that you want to do something, you're going to do it at all cost, and you're going to get there. Because if you something that you really want to do, you're going to be there.
I think though the issue isn't it, like say you've got a fella with that ambition at 19 and you've got a woman with that ambition at 19, not just in politics but in life. Both can achieve perhaps what the other can. It's the hurdles and the attitudes that you have to have perhaps extra strength to overcome.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You probably maybe had to work much harder than a fella might have to achieve your goals.
And I would have had people coming into the salon because I was a hairdresser. So I did have people coming into the salon. Can I speak to the manager? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. So they weren't expecting that either. So, and it was the same at the door. They were saying you're much younger looking in person. So it's good to get that feedback, So there was always a laugh and a giggle at the door. That always got it, it kind of broke the ice and made things just that little bit easier.
You can make it work in your favour.
Yeah, because you can relate to people that wee bit more,
Yeah, like I don't know why people vote or what motivates them, but I think we did have, again, some really, really strong female candidates. I feel that things have gone backwards since 2019. If you know what I mean. I don't know what you think, Rebecca.
What I found, Greg, was you have two. Now I understand it. You have the party vote or you have a personal vote. And with local elections, as I see it, it's my own opinion. People did say to me, look, I have a local man or there's somebody that I have voted for forever, more or less. So they will have my number one, but I will definitely give you a number two. So I did have a lot of transfers, I know that. I just didn't get the opportunity to utilise them. But it gives you an understanding as to where people lie with the person and may not just be their party policy. So the people who got in have the support behind them from the people because of the work that they've done. We have had people tell us that there's people who haven't worked for them, that they weren't happy. But at the same time, overall, then the people who got elected, it's the voters voted them in. So they obviously still hold a certain amount of respect with a lot of people, and you can't change that.
Yeah, Joy. I think most people would agree that 3 out of 37 is, it's a strange kind of a number there. do we need to actively do something? Have you given it any consideration as to what can be done? Because Rebecca's quite right. People vote on people's records as well. And if the same people keep running, it's going to be quite difficult to displace them. And it'd be anti-democratic to try and displace them just to let someone through. So what do you think the future is, or how might we see more of a balance there in the council?
Yeah, well, I'd like to think now people will see once we get into the council and start making things happen and start being a voice, that people will see that and maybe become even more interested in politics in general. And that's where it starts from. There has to be a starting point. We had 19 women candidates in this election who stood, but only 3 were elected. I think that's something that has to be looked at. The electorate did not vote all the female candidates in. That to me is quite concerning, to be honest. I know Rebecca said people have voted her because she's a woman, but there's clearly an element there who just decide not to vote for women, no matter what they represent or about their personalities, because it's very much to do with that and what work they do in the community. So as I say, even though we have our 3 elected, there was 19 candidates that ran as women, which I think we have to remember. And if we compare our statistics to like South Dublin have, there's 40 councillors, and they've got 19 women in South Dublin. That's 47.5% of that council makeup is of women, whereas we only have 8%. So I don't know if it's a rural community thing or whether, that plays into the equation. But I do have to, just while I'm on, commend the See Her Elected team. I don't know if any of the other ladies were involved with the See Her Elected, but that's the first. If you are interested in politics, reach out to them because the workshops they provide are amazing.
Dakota too, and I think what is a barrier, and of course, Joy quite rightly mentioned 19 candidates. Some maybe were sweepers in terms of, strategy and what have you, right? I don't know if all were put forward as, let's get this candidate elected. I'm sure parties would tell you that, but if you look at it, it looks a little bit different. But I just wonder if there were more in the field. Like, we've had excellent councillors, female councillors in this county, and excellent fellow councillors, right? They're doing their job as well. But they've just either they've packed it in or not sought re-election for their own reasons. But generally speaking, you would speak to them sometimes around the country and they would tell you that trying to balance family life and the work of the council and the way the council is structured, the amount of time that you have to give to meetings or what have you, then you have stuff to do in the evening, Dakota. That's going to be a challenge for you. I still think that, especially whether people like it or not, women are often the principal carers, that we need to restructure local politics, that you can have a better work-life balance.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there shouldn't be that barrier of choosing between whether you want to be a mother and have children or go into a field like politics. So something that I'd actually spoke to with Tony McDade about was childcare facilities and creches. It was something he had brought to the council before, and something like that could help women a lot more. Like, when meetings are going on, to have them creche facilities would be brilliant step forward for encouraging more women. And like, we have gender quotas, but at the same time, I can't agree with just gender quotas for the sake of it. I think the person who can't just put up a female candidate for the sake of having a female candidate. It needs to be someone who's obviously interested in politics and wants to work for politics and for the community. But it definitely is. It will be challenging, and it's a challenge I'm looking forward to, definitely. And there's a lot to juggle, but I think it is doable, and that's what I'm kind of here to put forward, is that it can be done, and hopefully I can encourage more women to go into politics and more younger people too, just in general.
Yeah, I think.
And just to add to that,
go ahead, Rebecca,
see,
please,
working from home now, because when I did the Politics Plus course, the next chapter, that was back in 2019, I think. When I did that, we talked about all of the different barriers that stop women from going into council, so and running for elections, and like, there's so many different things from health, the care side, the financial side of it, and it doesn't come with a job description. Like every other job vacancy you apply for, it comes with a job description. You know exactly what's expected of you. That's not the case with the council seat. So I think that maybe if they even from that perspective, if they did do a list of a job description, that people would know exactly what's expected of them. You know,
Of
how many
course,
meetings are there in a year? What time is expected of you for those type of things? What type of meetings do you need to go to? What maybe committees, because I know that you have to try and get onto committees, so you need to get that type of information together and let the people know this is what's expected of you. Then you have your other work outside of that. But being the online now, and you're remote working and working from home and being able to do calls with you online rather than having to come in. I had to, because my husband's working from home, so I don't want to cut in his internet, so that's why it was easier for me to come in here. I have the freedom to come in and out as well, that I'm able to do that.
I get you. I of all the conversations I have here, I think one of the biggest things we could do is to make it a more family friendly working environment. Joy, I don't know what you think about this finally, so that people don't feel they have to make a decision at a certain period of life when they can, and that would encourage more candidates, different types of candidates, both men and women, don't get me wrong, because you know they because it's very onerous. People might criticize counsellors, but it takes a ton of time, and it's very hard to juggle a regular life in inverted commas and this life. And I think at local authority level, Joy, it shouldn't be like that, and I think more people would get involved if it was a better balance of life and work.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I'm delighted that these the meetings can be conducted via Zoom. It means, you know, you're not traveling a distance to go to the meeting and traveling back, so that impacts your daily, you know, life when these meetings are taking place. So that definitely is a big plus, that you are able to do that. You know, it takes out that traveling element as well, so you can have more time doing other things that you do need to do, because this is a very vital role that we've taken on, me and Dakota. You know, the people are relying on us, you know, and like, I'm sure Dakota's the same as myself. We're here to give it our all. The people have voted us in to be their voice, and that's what we intend to do. So we need to use our time in the most productive way. So as I say, being in a Zoom meeting is an easy way to work around that. You know, that's just one of the things.
Joy, thank you very much indeed. Best of luck with your 5 years. Take care of yourself. Dakota, lovely to speak to you again. Take care. Thank you very much indeed. And Rebecca, unlucky. It was a great campaign. You got close, but maybe next time.
And good luck to the two girls and the three there. Niamh Kennedy's on as well, isn't she?
And see, this is the thing. We could have been talking about two, because Niamh herself thought for quite some time
best luck to the both of them.
that she might miss out. Okay, lovely stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Back with more after these.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
For new perspectives and a fresh vision, join me, Greg Hughes, on the 9 Til Noon Show every Thursday at 10:15 for your voice, your community.
When it comes to your business, you want to move forward, upgrade, advance, expand. Make it possible with Opel's award-winning commercial vehicle range. The new Opel Combo, Vivaro, and Movano in diesel or 100% electric. And now all available with flexible payment options and a 5-year warranty. The Opel Commercial Vehicle Range. Carriers of possibilities. Find out more about our 242 offers at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details.
Looking for that Hoka experience? Try the new range at bmcsports.ie. New Arahi 7, Clifton 9, or the Eversoft Bondi 8. Step into our safe size experience so you can fit the best trainer for your foot. Let us make your trainer experience the best it can be. Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Discover the award-winning Central Hotel Donegal Town, where exceptional dining meets stunning surroundings. Enjoy quality cuisine from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m, including breakfast, brunch, bar food, or exquisite evening a la carte menus. Experience our unique local Asian fusion dishes, expertly crafted by our talented chefs in our newly renovated Chapman's restaurant. For the perfect dining experience, book now by calling the Central Hotel Donegal Town on 074 9721 027.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Support local at McElhinney's. With 53 years experience in fashion, beauty and home, we're here for you. Plus, enjoy M-Card rewards when you shop in-store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
So let's have a quick look at that weather forecast then, and I can tell you that it's not on my phone. Anyway, I'll give you the weather forecast in a moment, but it is a minute past 11, time for a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. There has been more efforts to bring Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh back into Fine Gael's parliamentary party. The former Chief Whip resigned after he voted against legislation underpinning the defective block redress scheme. Deputy McHugh says as it stands there's not been any progress in terms of specific requests he made in relation to penalty-free downsizing, the exclusion of foundations to the scheme and transfer of eligibility. He plans to meet with Taoiseach and party colleague Simon Harris shortly. A man in his 20s has been required to attend hospital to receive medical attention after he was bitten by a dog in Muff yesterday. It's understood to have been a Rottweiler. Gardaí say investigations are ongoing. It follows an incident in which 3 pet lambs were killed in a 2-dog attack last week. 3 dogs have been killed in a fire at a home in Derry. Yesterday's blaze at the Meadowview Crescent area is being treated as arson. Police received the report shortly before 6:35 p.m. and a 36-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of arson, endangering life with intent and 2 counts of assault on police. No people were in the property, which was completely gutted as a result. The EU Nature Restoration Law has been officially approved by member states. It will be enacted across the European Union after being passed by 20 countries, including Ireland, at the EU Environment Council this morning. The law requires all member states to introduce measures to restore nature on at least a fifth of their land and sea by 2030 and all ecosystems by 2050. And finally, people in Northern Ireland are being urged to ensure they're registered to vote ahead of the UK's upcoming general elections. The deadline closes tomorrow, with polling taking place on Thursday the 4th of July. Those who need to can register online on the gov.uk website. Alternatively, registration can be completed at local voter registration kiosks. These are located in the reception area of the Council's offices at the Strand Road in Derry, Derry Road in Strabane and at the Derg Valley Leisure Centre. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 12.
Thanks, Donna Marie. So the weather a little cloudy this morning with some patchy drizzle. It'll become drier by the afternoon, but it will remain rather overcast with limited sunny spells. Temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees in light northerly breezes, and weather models we hear from the experts are telling us that things may begin to improve as this week wears on. Fingers crossed. Stay where you are. Brendan Devaney's coming in talking GEA and previewing Highland Radio's DL Debate podcast after we take these messages.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Enjoy summer with Home Store and more. Bring your garden to life with our great range of garden furniture, including rattan corner sets, dinner sets and much more. And when it comes to barbecues, whether gas, charcoal or smoker, we've got what you need to cook up a storm. There's also gazebos and garden decor. Light up your garden with our extensive range of solar lights, string lights, post lights, lanterns and much more. Make your garden your sanctuary. Come visit our stores and see for yourself or shop online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
At Vodafone, we've just been awarded Ireland's best mobile network for the 9th year in a row. It's because we're committed 24/7 to making it the best network for you, so you can rely on Vodafone for the important things, you know? Like Sunday video calls with your best friend, staying in touch with the things that really matter in the family group text, or watching a 24/7 live stream of penguins at the San Diego Zoo. Go on, you know you want to. Vodafone. Together we can. Certified by Umlaut. See Vodafone.ie for terms.
Being a Garda Reserve will change your life, but it can also change someone else's. I'm Kevin, and in all my years as a social worker, I've built up many skills in communicating with vulnerable adults and children. I've always thought about becoming a Garda, but having seen my mother join as a Garda Reserve, it made me realise I could use my communication skills to help the service. Being on the ground and helping with community interaction is extremely rewarding and, above all, helpful for the team. The experience has been fantastic groundwork towards my next move into full-time Garda training. Being a Garda is a tough job, and that's why being a Garda Reserve is a job worth doing. Apply now at publicjobs.ie.
Attention golfers! Major value continues for the US Open at McGurk's Golf Letterkenny. Shop the top brands in golf like TaylorMade, Callaway, Under Armour, Adidas and more. Visit us at Unit 16 Letterkenny Folk Retail Park today.
Go all Aldi as we celebrate 25 years of everyday low prices.
Over this time, we've provided an ever-expanding range of exciting products and fresh produce at fantastic prices. Working with amazing colleagues, past and present, as well as supporting hard-working Irish producers. And we've picked up a fair crop of awards too. So, it's time to party like it's 1999. Follow the path to lower prices? Go all Aldi.
Okie doke, you're welcome back to the 9 Till Noon Show, and it's been a while. We have Brendan Devaney, presenter of Highland Radio's DL Debate, in studio with us. Brendan, good morning to you.
Good
Thanks
morning
so much
to you,
for
Greg.
calling up. How are you getting on?
I'm good, keeping the best,
And
fresh.
You're up, fresh, and you're up there getting your show ready as well too. So good to call you in. Right, okay, so that walkover against Clare is not going to do us any favours, is it? Or is that the kind of victory you need after a disappointment against Cork?
Do you know what, Greg? See how the lads applied themselves. You couldn't ask for any more. And listen, chat to loads of people. See, even in the second half, I still found it entertaining because the lads kept playing the ball. You know, we very easily found a few bad habits. Maybe Clare get a goal and a few points or something, and you'd be disappointed. That didn't happen. Donegal kept, all the subs had all come in, kept the pace up, the quality was up. There's still some brilliant scores. So, what can they do? I think with Clare, when you look into it now, Greg, obviously they lost about 10 players from last year. Now, the two big games that they had was Kerry and Ennis when, first Cusack Park Munster final, 100 years, whatever. And there was a whole crowd there for that, and they elevated their game. And then, of course, they have a brilliant record recently against Cork. So then, because we had lost to Cork, we were like, right, we better watch. This could be dangerous, whatever. Let's say if Clare had beaten us, which seems crazy now, they would have been through, we would have been out. So, as it was then, taken all in, we absolutely destroyed them. Yeah. And, we ended up, I was looking at, if you look at the scoring charts, of course, Kerry and Dublin are lording it in terms of their groups, 39 and 31. We actually ended up on 29 plus. Now that's it, us with even losing the game. So it just shows you how much we dominated that. And of course we had a great victory against Tyrone as well.
And also too, this the psychological side of this, where you talk about, what a defeat means and what a convincing win means. I think that's where the Jim Guinness factor comes into it, because I think firstly he's not going to let the team run away with themselves with victory, and he's certainly not going to allow themselves to get into the doldrums with defeat.
Yes.
So that's the manager's factor there. So that wouldn't worry me too much.
Yeah, if you look at it now, if there was a time for us to be defeated, that the Cork game was actually the game, because we still ended up top of the group, and because of our friends in Tyrone doing us a big favour, beating Cork, we now have that period where we can relax. We obviously are not going to play, Kerry or Dublin or we can avoid all that. So the pathway has worked brilliantly. And you're on about Jim. Things click into place for Jim. He has the magic and things just, a lot of stuff there. You're looking at what could have happened at the weekend. Cork were in charge of the group going into the end. Now they end up the third team, and they have to go away from home to play Louth in that prelim quarter final. So listen, it's fantastic for us, Greg, and we were on a brilliant run. Sometimes you need a bit of a reset, as you said, and the fact that you can get that and it still didn't damage you in the group, was brilliant for this Donegal team, and we can recuperate in many ways. That game at the weekend wouldn't have taken much out of them in terms of that, so we can build up nicely into a quarter final.
The quarterfinal prelims are Mayo versus Derry, Louth versus Cork, Tyrone versus Roscommon, Galway versus Monaghan. A lot of Ulster teams in there. We don't know. There's another then draw that takes place after these prelim games, presumably next Monday morning again. We don't know if we're playing Saturday, Sunday. We don't know who we're going to be playing, obviously. But it does set up a third game against Tyrone. That would be a bit of a pain in the old backside, wouldn't it?
Yeah, not the game we would like, and I would expect Tyrone to come through that game.
That's the game we're going to get.
Yeah, do you think?
Oh, as sure as a gun card.
Waiting for us in the long grass. Listen, there's a kick in Tyrone, Greg, and they're very up and down as a team. You don't know so it's a dangerous team for Donegal, and of course, having beaten them twice, it's always that thing of it's a game that we wouldn't want. But listen, it is what it is. Whatever comes out of the hat comes out of the hat. But there's certainly teams there you would think, particularly with Mayo, Tyrone and Galway's going to look like they'll come through that. The Louth and Cork one's very hard to call, but I certainly can't see anything but those three sides coming through. And
there's a lot on Derry going into that game, because there's been a lot of talk about them, and quite rightly so, in terms of, where they were at, sort of where they've gone now. And a lot of the negativity would go out the window if they could beat Mayo. I mean, that's potentially a huge game for Derry, not just in terms of this season, but in terms of the last 3 or 4 years and going forward.
Yeah, listen, I just can't see it. You have seen it many times where the team puts too much energy into the league and they're operating at a level above everybody else, which is near championship level. That's why they were beating everybody so convincingly. And you lose that energy and you have a few injuries, bit of indiscipline, and everything unravels. Then 2-7, Greg, is not going to. And the goal came late. That's not enough scoring that's going to beat teams. And if you look at McGuigan, talking about one of the best forwards in Ireland, up into this. Listen, I think he missed his 4 shots from play. He got two frees, and that's kind of a sign of the team throughout. The confidence isn't there and the energy isn't there. And I was at the Armagh game. Like, Armagh completely destroyed them and could have won by far more. So I don't see how you can bring a team back from that. And certainly Mayo will be buzzing after that performance. They should have beat Dublin yesterday, and Dublin, they'll think 30 seconds up. Typical. Lexington Mayo should have shut that game down. I mean, how the guy was nearly in for a goal, never made a point.
It was just a wonderful move at the right time.
It was. But you sometimes, and that's the thing that'll always hurt Mayo. And I was even looking at them, Greg. The point that Mannion got. 3 Mayo players rushed him whenever he gets the ball. In a critical moment, I'm thinking, right, why wasn't one of them picking up Mannion? And that's always the thing that can hurt Mayo. But that said, they played well. But Dublin out of Croke Park, Greg, that was the big thing. It just changed the whole dynamic of it, and they suddenly looked a bit more ordinary.
Also, too, they look very ordinary. I don't watch the Sunday game. I'm just curious. A
Neither
lot of deep defensive football, a lot of crappy football, right, that we get absolutely hammered for up here. I wonder, did the pundits give Dublin any abuse yesterday for playing the exact same type of football but worse?
Well, Kieran Whelan's on with me. I'll be asking him. Of course, he's a dub. Yeah, I'll put that straight to him, Greg. and I won't let him shy away.
What about the system, though? I think, if I'm right, Derry's lost 3 out of 4 games in the championship, right?
Yes.
And to get into the prelim quarterfinals, they beat one Division 3 team.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken,
that's true.
That's not a fantastic system, is
but
it?
You know what? People talk about that, right? If you've got 2 teams that go through, right, that means that a team could be out after the first 2 games, which means if they're playing a team that wants to get into the second place, they've already given it up.
Yeah.
If you look at that, and I know it's not perfect, but if you look at that yesterday, Clare still had a chance. If they'd have beaten Donegal to go through, which still means that they've something to play for. Now I know they didn't play. Now otherwise, you're going to have teams that down tools, and it'll obscure the group. So I think even though it's not perfect, I do think it's a better thing that everybody's alive coming the last game. Now the thing about a team like Derry scraping through the way they have, Greg, those teams aren't going anywhere. People might say, "Oh, you could scrape through," and this happen. That's not going to happen. If you scrape through, the likelihood is that next game you're
neither the two of us are gamblers, but would you give me 5-1 on Derry on a tenner?
Big time.
Yeah.
Aye.
Right,
Derry to beat Mayo.
Just for the crack.
Hey, for the crack always.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I put a tenner down, you put 50 down.
That's fine.
And if I win, I'll donate it to charity. How's that?
That's fine. Yeah. And if I win, I'll
you'll not get it.
Use it for myself. I'll not get it. That's a great system you have there.
No, we'll sort something out. Right. Okay. But that being said, right, I there was lots of games at the weekend that were good. And the games meant something like you said. I understand how people might sort of say the system's a wee bit flawed in a lot of games to remove a certain amount of teams. But, Mayo, Dublin, Armagh, Galway. Now, some of them, the second half was better than the first, don't get me wrong. Tyrone, Cork.
Roscommon, Cavan. High scoring.
Good games.
They were high scoring.
That meant something.
Yeah,
There's something in the mix there.
Yeah, I think probably All Ireland, the issue is with it is that, particularly with Kerry and Dublin, as I say, that scoring average, and I know we scored highly, but that's maybe a lot has to do with that Clare one on Saturday. But there's that bit ahead. We're just wondering. That's why the levelling out of Castlebar, of Dr. Hyde Park to Mayo was very interesting, because when it gets to Croke Park, Dublin and Kerry, it's so used to it, and they really played, and particularly Dublin have made it such a fortress that that changes and gives them that extra boost. Not only the best squads, they operate the best at the pitch. But listen, that's not going to change. But you certainly look, most of the other teams, Greg, look a bit more like there's weaknesses in there and there's stuff. But listen, Mayo certainly, I'll give the rest of the teams encouragement. I certainly think Donegal, are in there, and Armagh, worthy of being top of their groups.
I presume the quarterfinals, once we get the prelims out of the way, they're going to be two double headers in Croke Park. Is that it?
That's normally what they'll do. Yeah.
The problem is now, like, say for instance, you're a huge Donegal fan, especially if you went down to Cork, and especially if you went down to Castlebar. I think firstly those fans should get first dibs on the tickets. Personally speaking, not first dibs, but some sort of advantage. But secondly, like if you want to book a hotel room or something, you don't know if it's Saturday, you don't know if it's Sunday. The prices are through the roof anyway. And also that means there's like 20,000 tickets per team.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah,
it would be, wouldn't it?
I mean,
some counties won't. Yeah. Some counties won't take them all. Some counties want more.
There'll probably be more free sale, through
general sale stuff.
Yeah.
All right, okay. But that's the way it is anyway. It'll be an
I think
advantage for Dublin again.
Dublin, yeah. Bring a tent.
Can you imagine
bring a tent?
Yeah, but can you imagine me? Like it's not bad when the biggest concern is. Are we playing in Croke Park on Saturday or Sunday, deep into the championship?
Listen,
it's not too bad.
Yeah, the cost. Listen, like the away to Cork, I suppose Castlebar. Yeah, there's a lot in that, and it's a tough one. I'd just like to say, fair play to all Donegal fans coming down to Castlebar too, because like that was pretty much the Donegal were going to win the game. So very easy for people to say not to bother, but there was a huge crowd there. If anybody was trying to get through Sligo, for example, it was absolute chaos. So. Listen, fair play to all, and I'm sure they'll come in big numbers to the quarter.
All right, there's lots to get through this evening. Brendan will have top GEA sports writer Christy O'Connor. You heard Brendan mention Dublin legend Kieran Whelan will be on the show. John Gulday, former Donegal star as well. What else is on the show? Is it mostly just reflecting on these games, looking forward? Is
that was the soul of the weekend. Yeah, it was all Donegal and all Ireland final group games. That's what we're concentrating on, and of course we'll talk about those fixtures that come up, and next week we can do a preview then of who Donegal are playing and build up to Croke Park Tyrone. You've named it now.
Oh, it's just the story is Donegal facing Tyrone for the third time in the championship.
Yeah.
I hope it's not the case, but it often gets thrown up.
Yeah. There'll be a song about that.
Yeah.
Rory Gallagher's song, of course, is out kicking now.
What's the story with that? I've seen it on social media. What's going on with that?
Jimmy Stafford's got behind it well there. Yeah, he brought it up to 2024 and put some of the lads in from the current team and that.
Cool.
So he performed it here live one day.
Yeah. One of those things that you keep seeing, but you just haven't watched the video and stuff.
Yeah.
So what is it? Is it for?
Do you want me to give you a few bars?
Yes.
You heard me down that day on the live broadcast singing a country master song.
You really got into character there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The performance was the vocals was shocking.
It was just pure. No, it wasn't. It was fine. Pure got full into character.
No, listen, fair play to Roy. Yeah, that song's been released, I think, today actually, Greg. So
great.
It'll be up on Spotify, iTunes, and all that.
Well, is it here? Do we have it? We must give it a spin and support it as well. We'll
the money's all going to the hospice.
Great.
So
if I can get my hands on it, we'll give it a spin before the end of the show and let people know all the ins and outs of it.
That's great.
Brendan Devaney, thank you very much indeed. Now that DL debate in association with Sister Sarah's is live this evening, just after the 7 o'clock news. You've got writer, GEA sports writer Christy O'Connor on the show. You've got Dublin legend Kieran Whelan in there. You've got former Donegal star John Gilday in there as well. So that's coming up just after 7 o'clock live on Highland Radio, but you can listen to it whenever you wish on demand after that. So they're going to be talking about all the weekend's action, what's coming up next weekend, and what could be for Donegal the weekend after. 086 60 25,000 if you have any comments in relation to that. 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Go full Lidl for super savings with this week's Super Savers. Our biggest pick of the week, 50% off our Irish Strawberries Family Pack, now $1.99. Sweeten the deal with Honeydew Melons, 43% off, just $1.29. And we've squeezed 30% off lemons, now 69¢. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Bíime sé cant faoin léamh agus an scríomh. Tá an saoileach ahrú go mór, agus bíonn sé díon ar chuid agan formacha a lína, bilí a hiiscint nó an fón cliste a oibrú. Tá sé níos coitianta nó mar is dóile. Fáy amach conas gur féidir leatsa do chuidí dhéine ag adultliteracyforlife.ie. Le tacaíocht ó rialtas na hÉirden agus solas.
Rally fever is building in the Northwest. Join Highland Radio for live coverage of the Donegal International Rally on air and online at highlandradio.com in association with Pulse Venue Letterkenny, your entertainment headquarters over Rally Weekend, with Rhythm and Sticks and One for the Road live on Rally Friday. Pay at the door.
The Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant Arena 7, a family favourite in Letterkenny. Great menu choices with a warm welcome for all. You've got to visit the Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant. Check out arena7.ie for more information.
A caller says, in the EU petitions report on the defective blocks issue, the same company was found to be compliant by the National Building Control and Market Surveillance Office. When are you going to report these things, Greg, in the interest of balance? Most suppliers in Donegal are caught up in this. This is a bigger issue throughout the country. It's not just one company involved in this, says a listener there. I understand where that person might be coming from. I don't know if they have any skin in the game, but generally speaking, we talk broadly about the issue on this programme. A man gets mugged and seriously injured by a dog, yet it takes a call from a councillor to get the Gardaí to act. What the hell is this country coming to? That was a little bit of a weird one, I have to admit, what seemed to be the timeline of the Gardaí getting involved in that incident. I've an Airbnb on the route of the rally. I have kids at the creche to lift and leave. I've been onto the rally crew 2 weeks ago and we have been given assurances they'd be in touch, but there has been no agreement. I've been onto the council and they have listened. They have been listening to my concerns. In the past, I was given assurances that people watching the rally wouldn't be on my land and that the rally stewards would make sure it wouldn't happen. That didn't happen. We've horses and sheep who are spooked by the noise, says that listener there. Morning, I worked in Letterkenny and most days a family walk up and down Port Road with an Alsatian not on a lead and no muzzle. Well, that is fundamentally against the law. If a dog is in its own garden yard, is the owner responsible if someone comes in uninvited? The rules that I have referenced are out in public. I hope now I can speak to Rachel Morrow, CEO of the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. Are you there, Rachel?
I'm here. How are you?
I am good, Rachel. I'm good. This is one of these stories that need to be highlighted, Rachel, but I wonder if you agree. I'm conscious that maybe in outlining what needs to change, we hopefully don't discourage people from coming forward. Do you get where I'm coming from?
You're so right, because this story can be shocking to listeners and they may not even be aware of the legislation that is in place. There is a law that allows the prosecution and the defence in a sexual offence case to request to see the counselling notes of the alleged victim of that offence. Now, it's claimed that that's for the purpose of a fair trial, and that the prosecution should disclose all relevant material within its possession unless there's a valid reason for not doing so. And in the case of alleged sexual offences, that includes counselling notes. But like you said, that can really send like a chilling message to victims of sexual violence who might be really concerned that what they say in the privacy of a counselling room can actually be used as evidence in a trial. So we've been raising this concern for many years, and that victims feel that counselling notes are used as part of a wider playbook to discredit them, and that they feel what they say to their counsellor, it should be in a sacred space between them and their therapist, but actually those notes are being weaponised against them.
But I don't even know how they could be used, because context surely is important. What someone says privately, maybe what someone says in the immediate aftermath of something, maybe they are, there could be, as they work through it, they could be saying, could it be my fault? Was I whatever it might be, the circumstances that you might feel free to say to someone in a private situation like that, to work through a huge trauma, that in some way then that could be used by a defendant against you. I can't see the logic in that at all. I never knew about this, Rachel. I think it's horrendous, honestly.
I totally share those sentiments, and actually, we're fearful that this provision in Irish law is leading to some victims making a choice between seeking counselling with a therapist or seeking justice through the courts. And that's never a situation that we want to be in. The reporting rate is already really low, and we need to try and encourage people to report to the Gardaí and have a smooth pathway to justice. But at the moment, it's very difficult to see, unless there's a clear-cut case, that why counselling notes would be used as evidence. And the state did try to address it by passing a new law intending to strike a balance between the rights of an alleged victim and the accused person's right to a fair trial. So they established this new section of the Criminal Evidence Act, and it set out the grounds in which the court should grant access to records in a case where the victim does not consent to them being used. But I understand that that provision has seldom been used, and actually victims are for the most part consenting to the use of their counselling records because they're fearful of delaying further what is a really, really long path to criminal justice.
Yeah, but even if, and it depends on the crime, and also perhaps maybe the relationship between the victim and the perpetrator, and even if it doesn't go to trial, the fact that abuser or perpetrator could then get access to the private conversations and feelings of the victim, as I say, even if it doesn't go to trial, that feels like another assault, because you don't know if the perpetrator is actually getting some satisfaction out of that control or the victim's vulnerability or what have you. This really should not be allowed to happen.
And you're echoing what we hear almost every day. I mean, we're receiving around 3 requests a month now to disclose counselling notes. So we see firsthand the effect that it's having on victims of sexual violence, but also the effect that it has on our therapists. Like counselling notes, they're not used as evidence in other types of trials, like say a physical assault. The law only requires that they are released for trials relating to sexual crimes. So in other trials, the questions that are asked are based on what somebody told the Gardaí, and then based on what they said in court, not what they said to their counsellor. So we, like you, really want to get the law reversed, and thankfully the government plan on domestic, sexual and gender-based violence provides for the establishment of a working group to review the rationale for the disclosure of counselling notes as part of the court proceedings, and I hope that that's going to be established very soon. But as it stands, victims or alleged victims of sexual crimes in Ireland are allowed at the moment. Their counselling notes could be used as evidence in a trial.
What binds you to retain those notes that makes them available, I wonder?
What? Sorry, I missed the start.
What binds you to? Like, are you? Is the Rape Crisis Centre obliged to retain these notes?
Absolutely. So it is the law that that we provide them when requested. So we don't take detailed notes, but the notes that we do take can be requested by.
I'm just curious, Rachel, how this works, because the victim or alleged victim doesn't have ownership of them then, so presumably, because I couldn't contact you a week later and say, by the way, I would like you to destroy my notes, so they would not be available in the event of a trial. So again, the victim does not actually have ownership of their story, their experience, sorry.
Exactly. And we often talk about the empowerment of victims of sexual violence. And this is just one part of a playbook, like I said earlier, which is used, we feel, to discredit victims. And we think that victims of sexual crimes have gone through enough without the pathway to justice being so long, so arduous. And this particular element, it just seems so inhumane that after they've experienced a rape or any type of sexual violence, that those private thoughts, the trauma that this thing has caused them, that they're then allowed to take those notes and to turn them against the person.
Like, I can, just as I say earlier on, I can imagine a person, you know, in working through everything that's gone on with them, that in some way they could say something that could be interpreted by someone else that in some way they were culpable or lying or something, and that just sounds to me as horrendous. Rachel, so I think just to clarify, you think there might be some positive moves in removing this legal requirement?
I would love that I could say that I was that it was positive, or that I was optimistic that it will be removed. There is this working group being established. I think it's going to be established in the coming weeks and months, so that will be good, because there will be a discussion around the rationale for the counselling notes. I would dearly love if the law was changed so that it was not a requirement. The fact that it's just for sexual crimes just seems, like I said, really inhumane, and it really needs to be overturned so that victims can really have that opportunity to heal after sexual violence, because counselling is such an important part of that, without the fear that those notes are going to be used in a trial against them.
And Rachel, what would you like to say maybe to counter perhaps any negative impact this conversation may have had on someone coming forward?
I'd like to say two things. The first is that if you find this conversation difficult, to please call the National Rape Crisis Helpline. That's 1-800 77 88 88, and that's totally anonymous, and you can have a private conversation with one of our counsellors. And the second thing is that if you are considering reporting a crime, why don't you give us a call on that number as well, and we can talk you through the whole justice process so that you can fully understand it and make an informed decision about whether it's something you want to proceed with or not.
But you can fully engage with the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre if you've a call to the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre is not a adjacent call to the Gardaí. The two things are separate. You move forward from this if you wish with the support of the centre, but you can engage and talk things through it with the centre. It does not then mean that you are obliged to go and speak to Gardaí also.
Absolutely not. The conversations that we have on the helpline, they're totally confidential, and like I said, they're anonymous as well. Okay. There's no traceability. It's a totally sacred space. So please call us. It's fully staffed. People are willing and ready to take a call from anyone around the country at the moment. And the number again is 1-800 77 88 88. And we would love, if you have found this conversation difficult, just pick up the phone, and we're here and we're ready to talk to you.
Really appreciate you clarifying that again, Rachel. Thanks for your time. Take care.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye. Rachel Morrow there, CEO of the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
The Highland Radio Hoolie to Salou is getting closer. Join me, David James, and a host of Ireland's top artists for a week of fun in the sun. Staying for 7 nights in the stunning 4-star Sol Costa Gerada Hotel with non-stop entertainment morning, noon and night. But hurry, we only have a limited number of places available. Don't miss out on the holiday of a lifetime this September. To book, call Country Music Tours on 074 91 19 955. We'll see you in Salou.
When it comes to your business, you want to move forward, upgrade, advance, expand. Make it possible with Opel's award-winning commercial vehicle range. The new Opel Combo, Vivaro and Movano in diesel or 100% electric. And now all available with flexible payment options and a 5-year warranty. The Opel commercial vehicle range. Carriers of possibilities. Find out more about our 242 offers at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Halliford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor, with a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Halliford.
Summer has arrived. It's time to book the ultimate rural escape at McGrory's Hotel Kildaff, celebrating 100 years of warm Irish welcomes. Relax in the beautiful Donegal countryside, stay in one of our 17 cosy bedrooms, enjoy a fabulous meal in our front room, and take a walk on the stunning Blue Flag Beach. Book your break now at mcgrorys.ie, quoting Highland Radio.
Now, Deputy Thomas Pringle has welcomed a motion strengthening measures to combat sexual abuse and the exploitation of children and child sexual abuse material, calling it a global issue that requires a global response. Deputy Pringle is with me right now. Good morning, Thomas. Thanks for your time.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
Good. So, is this this is an EU measure, an EU directive? Is it? Talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it was an EU directive that was passed in the Dáil in the last couple of weeks in relation to basically the global issue of child sexual abuse material and the transmission of that across, and it's basically an EU-wide directive to try and combat that and to try and stop it, basically, I suppose, and to ensure that it's any complaints are investigated fully in that as well too. And it's a huge problem, and it is a problem. I think that a lot of maybe the websites and stuff like that there, the child sexual abuse materials. It could be coming from anywhere in the world, could be hosted anywhere in the world. And that raises issues then in relation to how they can be policed and how they can actually be shut down if necessary. And as well. And we've, over the last number of years, we've all heard stories about the global police action to actually detect child sexual abuse, and the reports that we get into Ireland, like say coming from the US National Centre for Control. They referred over 10,000 cases to the Gardaí for their discussion last year alone. I mean, that's shocking, the level of material. And it's children are being targeted when they're on the internet as well by some of these criminals, and and they've been targeted with solicitation and stuff like that there as well too. And we have to try and do something to try and prevent that and try and stop it as well.
It seems to be a big discrepancy between those individuals that are responsible for this and justice for these children and the protection of the children. It seems that we're going to have to focus on and put the responsibility on those that allow this traffic to happen, because we've seen big groups shut down here, tens of thousands of Irish people involved in the exchange or making of this material. Horrendous, the level of this stuff. And nothing really seems to come of it, such as the scale. So, tech seems to be able to do absolutely anything when it wants to, except actively stop this happening. Now, the likes of Telegram and whatever, right? They still have tools that they aren't employing to protect children. Clearly, they aren't employing them.
Yeah, and there seems to be just let them work away from the registration and stuff like that there, and the people who have the responsibility and can control to a certain extent, they should be actually doing more, and meaning us and the department, and to target. All these platforms have to be hosted on the website. They can't just go out there themselves. And there is, like you say, like Telegram and other internet providers and stuff like that, and other forms of communication that are facilitating this material as well too. They say that they're being targeted and they're doing their best to stop it, but I don't know if they really are. And if you look at some of the way some of the algorithms work and stuff like that, they direct people more and more of this material towards people as well. So there definitely is more that the companies can do, and the whole algorithm thing seems to be something that nobody wants to touch and nobody wants to go near, because the companies, they're making money out of them. And from I'm no expert on, but from what I understand as well, some of them don't even know how the algorithms work or don't understand how the algorithms work, but yet they use them to put out this material, and that's something that has to be targeted as well, I think, and that's where it's going to be stopped.
We need to be really careful as well. I think, especially parents with children with TikTok accounts, and if the children are taking part in recent trends and what have you, look at the amount of friends your child have, and just be careful who's favoriting or saving that video as well, because it's not just underground, it's overground as well. What could we do as a nation? Firstly, and I think Senator Eileen Flynn worked on this. We need to make sure that we describe these images and videos as they are. Child sexual exploitation material, and not that other phrase that's used. And secondly, every day you read another court case of someone found with, hundreds of thousands of these disgusting videos and images, and they just walk out of court. So, I mean, whatever happens at an EU level, whatever happens with big tech and what have you, we need to get our act together in this country. How seriously do we take this problem?
Well, this is the thing, and and as well as you were talking about Eddie Flynn and the legislation that she brought forward in the Shannon to actually change the words that we use into describing this, instead of saying it's child pornography, that it is child sexual abuse material. And interestingly, the department said that they couldn't actually change the wording because it might have an impact on the previous legislation and whether convictions would be sound or that there as well. But yet we see that they're implementing this now when it's coming from the EU, and this, I presume that this will have the same effect of that could actually impact on convictions that are taking place here at the minute. So that's something that I'm taking up with the department to see is that going to have any impact as well. Because if that does have an impact, then we have to seriously address that, and we have to find some way to actually deal with that, because we have to make sure that this stops. And the reality is, like, the way that with smartphones and stuff like that there now, and you have to be extremely careful. I mean, I don't think any children should have smartphones, and particularly children, say, under 12 or something like that there on to secondary school. And parents need to really seriously think about it, because I know you need to be in contact with your child and stuff like that there, and it changes. It has changed a wee bit in terms of that, but smartphones, they can be somebody could be sitting beside you and could be accessing child abuse material.
Look, at if we wanted to, and it's easy for me to say, and I think all your kids are over 12, Thomas. It's difficult, it's difficult when all the peers are doing it, so we all have to do it, that sort of a way. I think it's very difficult for us as individual parents to take a stand, but that's a conversation we are going to have into the future. Thanks very much for helping us highlight this. Have a good day.
Thank you, Greg.
Take care, Thomas. And just to this is not a threat to children going forward. This is not something that might happen unless we don't do this, that, and then. This is happening right now. And I know I make this point quite a bit, but it's happening right now. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh found 12.5% of our children are estimated to have been subject to online solicitation, such as unwanted sex talk, including sexual act requests in the past year. This, of course, is of extreme concern. And as I say, it's remarkable what, like say in the PlayStation, if you're on the PlayStation Network, they can flag words. So you can't use certain words. And, certain words we use that aren't offensive here but might be elsewhere, they get flagged straight away, and you can get a ban very, very quickly. Abusive language in voice chat, you can get flagged and banned from using the voice chat. The technology is there, but because the money isn't keeping people in that space, they get rid of it. Whereas in other areas, the money is keeping that stuff in that place to keep the traffic and to keep the perverts entertained. And I'm sorry to use crude language, but that's exactly what's going on. And in one area, our children are a positive commodity and they're protected. In the other area, they're actually, it's horrendous. It really is. Okay, let me get to some comments here. Hello, Greg. Regarding Councillor Crossan's comments on the dog warden service in County Donegal, typical public rep hasn't his facts correct. There are 2 dog wardens covering the county 9 to 5 every day. Mallinhead to Bundoran, in that they are dealing with 800 complaints regarding dog control every year and are expected to check that dogs are licensed as well. You can't expect anyone to be on call for every irresponsible dog owner. This councillor should be lobbying for more staff. He never says that current dog warden should be doing more work. Sorry, in case I misheard it. What he said is there should be 24/7 cover. What happens if there is a call after 9 to 5 on a Monday to Tuesday or at the weekends? He never. Now, I'm not here to defend Councillor Crossan, but at the same time, I heard what he said. He's saying that there should be more staff for better cover all the time. So that's what I heard from him anyway. There's no legitimate Ukrainian president at the moment. The so-called president cancelled elections ages ago. So why should innocent young Ukrainians go and die for him? And why is the Western media so silent on the matter? Well, they're on a full-scale war. I mean, have you seen the videos of them rounding up men to go and fight? Like literally dragging them out of cars to go and fight in the front line. There's not a perfectly functioning democracy in Ukraine at the moment. There, as I say, if you're of this people pretending to be disabled or what have you over there at the moment, you get dragged and sent to service. That's shocking regarding that former employer of an abattoir, stating factories are sending cattle that are marked to be destroyed as unfit for human consumption. I don't know where they are, by the way. I'm not saying they're in Donegal. I don't know where that caller was calling from. But then sending them into the food chain. He needs to go to Gardaí or contact RT Investigates. He says that he has tried very hard to get that information there out there. All dogs should have to wear a muzzle when off the lead, regardless of their breed, says a listener. Hi, Greg. Just wondering about what some of these candidates did for the community before being parachuted in to run. Well, if they did enough, they got elected. If they didn't, they didn't. I think, really. You know, those even sitting councillors, those that work hard or are seen to work hard were elected. Those who maybe are seen to take the foot off the gas were deselected. So that's up to the electorate. The people listening to this show and across Donegal are not mugs, and they will not have the wool pulled over their eyes. That's clear. Good morning, Greg. People are picked on merit, not because they are female or male. Why do we only talk about female representation in big jobs like politics? Let's talk about bricklaying, tidy towns, or lifting the bins. It's only high-paying soft jobs these women want. Men work more hours, take less time off. They also work outside and work more dangerous jobs. Look at Ukraine. The women ran away to distant lands with the cowardly, this so-called thing where they are men, whether they're so-called or not, the cowardly men of Ukraine. Yeah, there are some jobs that are better suited to other people's needs. Men are underrepresented in lots of in nursing and caring and what have you. Why is that? Would you like to see more equality there? Do you want it across the board? I don't know. 086 60 25,000. All right, let's take a break and we'll be back with the last quarter of the show after these.
The 9 Till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Go all Aldi as we celebrate 25 years of everyday low prices. Over this time, we've provided an ever-expanding range of exciting products and fresh produce at fantastic prices. Working with amazing colleagues, past and present, as well as supporting hard-working Irish producers. And we've picked up a fair crop of awards too. So, it's time to party like it's 1999. Follow the path to lower prices? Go all Aldi.
Rally fever is building in the northwest. Join Highland Radio for live coverage of the Donegal International Rally on air and online at highlandradio.com in association with voodoo venue Letterkenny, Donegal's premier entertainment venue, where this Rally Friday playing live It's My Generation.
The neighbours have done it. Your friends have done it. Even your mum's done it. Now you can do it too. Save €10,000 on a new Nissan Leaf. There's never been a better time to switch to electric. Nissan Leaf with €10,000 off for a limited time only. Visit nissan.ie or contact your local Nissan dealer right now for details. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Savings inclusive of €3,500 SEAI EV grant. Terms and conditions apply.
Coming this year to Dublin for the very first time. 71 shows completely sold out. Hamilton at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. Experience the revolutionary musical that's taken the world by storm. Witness history come alive with electrifying performances and unforgettable music with a modern twist. Book your place now on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25,000.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. Support a local Donegal business with McElhenny's. From fashion to home essentials, find everything you need for any occasion. Shop McElhenny's Ballybuffet for quality you can trust.
Becoming drier into the afternoon, but it'll remain rather overcast with limited sunny spells today. Temperatures 13 to 16 degrees in a light northerly breeze. Now, I'm not sure if you saw the video posted by celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay over the weekend, but he was involved in a cycling incident, and you could see from the video, although he was in his gear, he was still very shaken. He had a really bad cycling accident in the US, and in a video he posted on his social media that I was referencing, he lifted his chef's whites to show substantial purple bruising on his torso, for which he required hospital treatment. And effectively, the message, very, very clear from him, was that everyone should wear a cyclist. Now, Sean McFadden is a cyclist at the highest level, A1 cyclist, one of the highest levels. Good morning to you, Sean. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg. How are you getting on there?
I am good. I suppose you're around far more cyclists than maybe the average Joe. What's your experience of people in crashes? I suppose mostly with helmets. If they're taking that seriously, they're going to have a helmet on. Have you any experience of people's lives being saved because of the helmet?
Of course, Greg. Helmets at this stage of the game is crucial. It's probably the most important part of a cycling kit. You can go out with everything else on you, but if you don't go with a helmet, you shouldn't be on the road. And we have a rule when we go cycling, no helmet, no bike, or no helmet, no cycling. It's saved so many lives, and it's saved so many friends that I know that have crashed with helmets. And if they didn't have the helmet on, they wouldn't be here today. It's like more or less driving a car. If you've no seatbelt on, you shouldn't be in the car, or it's part of, and I think it's nearly compulsive now that you have to wear a helmet by law.
No, you see, that's the problem, unfortunately, because I've checked into this, and you are not legally obliged to wear a helmet or indeed high visibility clothing while cycling in Ireland. Now, the Road Safety Authority recommends it, but the fact that you are not obliged to, the high vis did come as a surprise to me, but you don't legally have to wear a helmet. That sends out a very, and now they've introduced scooters onto the roads, electric scooters, Sean, and you don't have to wear a helmet on them either. Crazy stuff.
I can't imagine. I just can't get that through my head at the minute. I thought there was a couple of years ago that they made it legal that if you didn't have a helmet, you weren't allowed to cycle.
Didn't get over the line, unfortunately.
No, well, it's unfortunate because it's like I have very good friends in Letterkenny here that crashed many years ago when he was just out on a leisure run, went down to get his water bottle, had a wee stone on the road, literally going at 20 kilometers an hour, and he took a real bad blow to the head. And only for the helmet, he wouldn't be here today. So to me, it's crucial to have a helmet on.
And cycling is almost unique in terms of transportation in that if you have a crash, it's most likely you're going to come off second best.
Of course, if there's no one against a car or against anything. Okay, if you crash on the road, and I've crashed on the road myself, and as we had a seriously bad accident in Kilmacrennan many years ago, and only the boys that were wearing their helmets, we could have had a massive sad story, but they were all wearing helmets, and we got away with it. But you can hit the road and you can lose a lot of skin and you can come back from it. But if you hit your head, it doesn't take a lot. And I've seen many of the helmets smashed to pieces. And even today, even when you ride, a few my friends have ridden the Ross and they've crashed. And even last year, maybe 2 years ago, we've had a few Letterkenny guys riding the Ross. And only they were wearing helmets at that stage. They wouldn't be living today, So it's crucial to wear a helmet. And, you're not going to win the fight against a car or a tractor or something else. There's no way you're going to win the fight. Not a chance. Okay, you might break a few bones, but if you bang your head, yourself, it's over.
Yeah, you see, we're in a dilemma at the moment, and I don't think this conversation has been had enough out loud, in that the government are actively trying to get more people cycling. But there are studies that show people are less likely to cycle if they are compelled to wear a helmet. And you just wonder within that juxtaposition there, if that's why we're not having a proper national conversation about this, is because I think they feel, because studies show that if they do compel people to wear helmets, then the uptake of cycling and scooter using that they want might not happen.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, So, it's a battle that I think will go on and on forever. You know what I mean? Because if they do that, then there'll probably be more cyclists on the road, and then maybe they don't want them on the road. So if they keep it the way it is, there's going to be less cyclists on the road. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's again a battle. It's going to be a battle for forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, indeed. But listen, I listen to people like you, Sean. You're out and about. You're cycling on the roads all the time. You're around an awful lot of people that are cycling. And I'll be honest with you, if an A1 cyclist says to me that wearing a helmet is the difference between life and death, that lands with me a little bit more than the fashion conversation.
No doubt. there's no doubt, Greg. I mean, I would not let even my own son, when he's out tipping about around the street or is going anywhere. There's a rule in my house, and it should be a rule in everybody's house. And even small kids, when they're going to the park, and I see it myself, young ones on bikes in the park with no helmets on them. It's the most important part of the bike is the helmet. So if there's no helmet, there's no bike, and that's the way it is.
Simple.
Because simple. It's so simple. Like, it just takes one bang. That's all it takes, and I mean, it's a cheap part of the bike. And okay, helmets now are getting fancier and they're getting more expensive, and everything, but you can still buy a decent helmet probably for 20 or 30 euro. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
They have little lights on the back and front and stuff, and you can sell that to the kids.
Greg, they do, So
cool. Okay.
No, I would.
Sean, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Take care.
No
Sean
problem.
McFadden.
No problem. Take care. Bye
Bye. Now I spoke to a gentleman here not so long ago who was actually arguing that cyclists shouldn't have to wear high vis. There are different views out there. 086 60 25,000. Let us know. You can email us as well, and you can send us a letter as well. We got 2 handwritten letters today into us here, Highland Radio, Mountaintop Letterkenny, and the first letter reads as follows: to Greg. From a daily listener, can you ask your listeners, have any of them been asked at medical centres, GP medical centres, to supply for their records patients' PPS numbers? My understanding is that this number is being asked of people by too many establishments. Is it not the case that an employer and yourself, your employee, should only have this information? Why would doctors need this information? It's none of their business. If patients have to give their doctor and health board their PPS number, then patients should have the GP's PPS number and the staff who work in these establishments' PPS numbers. Please ask your listeners. I'm interested to know others' opinions on this. It is interesting. People can be very defensive of their PPS number. I don't understand that. I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong, but if you want my PPS number, you can have it. Text 086 60 25,000, providing there's a little something in it for me. But maybe it's to keep medical records sound and with the right person. We've often had a case where medical records are sent out to the wrong person with the same name. Is that why you'd want the PPS, to make sure that your information is for you and for you only? Hi Greg, I was out walking my dog on Friday last, and a dog warden pulled up beside me and asked if I had a dog license. I said no, as it identifies as a cat. Okay, I see. I didn't read that one fully through. I wonder how that worked out for you. Hi Greg, people found with this material are going to court, pleading this and that and getting off with it. It's a shame. They should be locked up. That's the only way to stop them, never to be trusted. Thanks, Greg. I would imagine that people that that would, like us as adults, the way I see is the one meaningful thing we have is the protection and love for children, right? The rest is money, cars, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We raise the next generation and they go on and do the same. Anyone that's capable of exploiting that, I don't think they can be fixed as such. And giving people slaps on the wrists and send them back out into the public is not really, I don't think that's really addressing the underlying problem. Right, listen, that's where we have to leave it on the show today. Thank you for making it such a busy Monday. We'll be back tomorrow from 9. John Bresson.